this computer. Oh yeah. I just need to share the link real quick. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your patience. 9:13, only 13 minutes late today. Not too bad for someone that hasn't done a hash search in, God, I don't even know how long. Shout out to Addison and Jameson for doing their podcast for the last couple of weeks or months or however long it's been. They pumped out a bunch of great shows. But everybody, welcome to Hash Church 4.0, episode 4. We're going to talk a little bit about harvesting today. This was kind of a last minute episode put together by Addison and the Dragonfly Earth Medicine. Wonderful to see everyone. Wonderful to see Skunkman Sam's little Dr. Seuss doll. Dude, it's been too long since I've heard your voice. Welcome, everybody, to Hash Church episode 4. Welcome.
Howdy.
Howdy.
To see everyone. I'm sure we'll have people popping in and out all morning, checking in on their plans, checking in on their plans. I'm excited to hear about the 800 pounds mantra and what's going on with the pipeline, and just see everyone.
I agree. No, it's we're super very grateful, Marcus, to give us the opportunity to come on and talk a little bit. I'm not sure how this came about. I think Marcus contacted me and then had some ideas, and then we all kind of got together and figured, like, why not? Let's have a hash church and talk a little bit about what's going on right now. And I think, Marcus, you came up with the idea about the harvesting for solventless, and that's the kind of topic is like, talking to some farmers. I was lucky enough to bring my own farmer, which is a friend from Sugar Magnolia Farms.
Yes, sir.
You want to introduce yourself and give?
I'm Judd, Sugar Magnolia Farms. Honored to be in the big city LA zone. Addison and I have been trying to catch a sesh for a long time. We first met at the 2014 Cup in Richmond, I believe. He was still doing testing stuff. I was lucky enough to be working for Sheldon Black Glass, and my pot and hash journey began at that same time, and I'm honored to be here taking dabs with you guys.
Yeah, he's been farming.
Shout out to Richard.
Yeah, Richard, man, for sure. Yeah, that's how we met.
Glass. Shout out to Richard.
That's how we met back in the day.
That's an old brother, man. I met him through Ruhr. Listen, before we get started, the idea for this really was inspired by my team over at Whistler Technologies. Daniel and Andrew did a little podcast recently where they did just the two of them talking about harvesting and preparing for solventless. And it kind of gave me the idea, I was like, man, I know a ton of awesome farmers and cool hash makers. Like, why don't we kind of do that idea that they did, but kind of pump it up a little bit, get more people involved, more people that are actively farming, but also the people who are actively making hash, and just kind of have a little discussion. I mean, it's been too long since I've seen everyone here, for sure. Shout out to Alice, shout out to Gana Gil, shout out to Joshua, shout out to Daniel and Skunkman Sam and 800 pounds. And I had an amazing time recently at the Unicorn Cup. Shout out to Che and his whole team at the Unicorn Cup. I thought events like this were a thing of the past. I thought that this was done and we were just moving into this future where everyone was upset and getting crushed by the new world of cannabis. This is old school. This was an absolutely spectacular event, made even better by spectacular people. I saw one of my old buddies, Alan Middlemith from the Kootenai crew that I hadn't seen in a decade or more while I was there, paddleboarding with my buddy Tyler, hanging out on psychedelics in the teepee with the Dragonfly Earth Medicine and all the great people from Kelowna and the Kootenays and Kevy. And oh my God, I can't even say enough about the Unicorn Cup. It was just so good. Kevin Jodfrey was there. I would definitely implore anyone who wants to come and experience. I heard talk of like, oh, this is like the Emerald Cup in 2009. It really had a great old school vibe to it. Worth coming down, worth checking it out. They did an incredible job. Che's mom owns this incredible property with this rosebud lake and all these beautiful acres of forest surrounding it. It was spectacular. I really just can't say enough about it. So yeah, welcome everybody. I'm super stoked to get some dabs in and talk to everyone in regards to really, you know, solventless and preparation of the material and flash freezing and all of these things can be our topics. But at the same time, I'd love to hear about where you guys are at, where you've been coming from, where you're going, where you're at currently in this sort of chaotic cannabis experience that we're all sort of I don't want to say trapped in, because I think a lot of us are lifers and it's something that we choose, but it's definitely been a challenge to say the least, and a lot of people have been taken out. So I sort of I think of them all the time, people that have been involved in this plant for so long that have just been unable to maintain with the legality and the taxes and the sort of getting squeezed out. So we can of course discuss that as well. And of course, I would very much like to hear any and all stories from Skunkman Sam. I haven't heard his voice in a very long time. And whether you know it or not, buddy, I think about you all the time. You've deeply affected my life. You've been an amazing mentor and friend, and I think about you, Austin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. A man of few words. A man of many bong rips.
Yee.
So yeah, pretty excited to see the group. Very thankful for Josh and Kelly, as well as Addison, for kind of putting together a little group. I love the intensity of which Addison is currently getting dabs ready. Like you can see, guy is like dabbing the way he works out. He's like, no fuck around. This is serious shit. Get everything organized. Have your tools clean. Oh, dude, I love you.
I'm trying to make Sam proud of me. All right,
dude. I'm proud of you. Trust me.
Yeah, Marcus, I'll just double in on the Unicorn Cup experience and how sweet that was. I mean, Rosebud Lake is filled with turtles, little painted box turtles, which is like, you don't find a lot of turtles in the lakes around here in the Kootenays. They exist, but it's like amazing. And so you have this lake and you're camping out, and it's sort of like just trails through the trees and stuff. So it definitely has that like OG flavor to it and stuff. Look at all the samples, and it's fun to meet up with a bunch of people you don't see a lot. So this BC community and the Alberta, big up to all the family we met, you know, out there and stuff, and just had the best time. So yeah, it's cool to have an event up here. The borders have been hard for us, you know, going back and forth, and for other people that are into natural wellness. So that, you know, hopefully by next year those things change, and you know, it'd be sweet. But yeah, it's only going to grow and get more powerful. So, and it's nice to have like the big dance party kind of aspect to it, which they had this huge stage, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun, just a lot of good times. And now, you know, or just I wish the Unicorn Cup was a little bit more later in the year, only because of having fresh outdoor ganja. You know, it's hard to get even light depth stuff out there by August for here. You know, it's nearly impossible. So but whatever, it's better weather, you know, and by the time the end of August comes, like it's rain times here. So yeah. How are you, Alice? Let's hear from you, because I know you're kind of down in Brazil with the on and off internet and stuff. Why don't you tell us something good? You've been in New York somewhat recently, hanging out with Liz. Liz was also up here at the Unicorn Cup, so we kind of had that like love link going on. So yeah, I'm Flynn up in LA, wherever, up or down, wherever you are. So yeah, tell us something good.
This year has been a literal trip. First, thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be among you all. We came here to talk a little bit about harvest, but this is like the first year that me and Flynn haven't been cultivating in a long while, after some difficulties with the county last year. I think you all know moving from that subject, it was able to experience bunch of traveling, different cups. And now I came to help out organize one of the first hash cup in Brazil. So they did Dabadu in Brazil, and it was the first main hash event that has ever happened here. We did it super hidden. It happened yesterday. It was historical to be able to experience this in Brazil in such a blast in a paradise land. So I'm still buzzing from yesterday. And actually from the hash quality I've seen from the Brazilians. Multiple hash samples, barely no rosin, little solvents, but everyone was crushing with the hash and with the temple balls. And it was very, very, very beautiful to see and to watch. And I'm buzzing. So at this moment, this is where I'm at. And I'm sorry for the internet. Definitely, this is paradise.
Wow.
Internet doesn't work well in paradise.
It's working well enough that we can see and hear you, so I'm appreciative.
What
Amazing.
strains?
Thank you.
What strains were you seeing down there? Anything we would know?
Okay, so the people that won yesterday, they won with like a peyote cookies. There were saw some cookie things on the menu. Of course, some like different like orange terps, like some of the BHO, the best like solvent samples were like a super, actually clean, citrusy, beautiful BHO too. I didn't try it, I just smell it because y'all know which team I judge it by the smell and look. But lots of like Gorilla Glue still, like people are like kind of like more attached to this old part, like little OG, little Gorilla Glue, and they love the Gorilla Glue here, and they love this San Fernando Valley term. They love this part still. So that's what I kind of saw from the samples from yesterday.
Cool.
That's awesome.
It was a good event. Everything went stealth. You said, like you guys didn't have any issues.
The biggest issue was that we developed an app to run the votes, and then because of the internet, a lot of people logged in, and the app kept logging out. So it took longer because we had to do it manually. So till this part was amazing. The end of it was a little like counting the votes was stressful, but the rest was all good. Like it was beautiful. There was a rock and roll band playing, psychedelic rock and roll. The event was held in a place that it's people do ayahuasca, so it was literally a round circle, and with like geometrical circle. It was geometrical circle sounds crazy, right? But it was just like a lovely place, and the vegetation, the music, the people. It was small and beautiful. The hardest part was the app, but the app will work next year and it will be fire.
Well, next year, if you guys want, we just developed on a blockchain with some partners that we have an entire judging platform, and we're talking about being able to make it available for any other event. Making it so that other events will be able to use it for their ticketing, but also be able to use it for the judging. And it's all secure. It's all on a separate server. So yeah, that's we would love to, let us know next year. We'd love to chat with you guys about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's exchange. It's always good to like exchange and grow better.
Agreed. That's what Hash Church is all about. So is Dragonfly Earth Medicine's entry in this cup number 4?
I'm not sure.
Dude, I think it's your guava punch breath right here, bro. It's the first one I picked out.
I think it is.
I was like, oh my God.
It's pretty like noticeable.
Dude, there's 20 of them, and the first one I picked out was yours.
That's what's up.
Johnny
Alice,
B?
I have a quick question. Oh, Johnny B playing with
Go ahead.
weed. I love
think his
it.
camera's off. He might be busy. Ask Alice a question, and then we'll welcome Johnny fucking B.
And it's beautiful to see Seraphim. But I was going to ask Alice a quick question with the ayahuasca family. Often with plant medicine and ayahuasca ceremonies, there's a thing about, oh, we don't do ganja. It's like a tobacco and plant medicine thing. And they're like, but then there's different tribes that, allow cannabis use, and did you find in this area that there was obviously an acceptance towards cannabis? And I just wonder what your thoughts were about that.
So different churches and different groups they definitely have different practices. So definitely some consecrate cannabis as a part, and it's Santa Maria that they call it. Like, so the spirit of the cannabis is Santa Maria. Church, and it's also a doctrine. So some people follow it like a religion. So there are rules and things like this. Here was very open. The people from the people that have the property, it's a 52-acre ecological property here, and they do reforestation, and they hold some ayahuasca rituals and some events. They were very open about it, and it's not like they do not want the plant. It's just that sometimes it's not part of the ritual for them. It does not belong in the ritual, like the way that people use it. And what I've seen is a lot of people that do go to the ayahuasca ritual and realize they have a tough use it as like a tool, therapeutical tool, and then it helps you out a lot. And some people also have different intentions and actually not use that, it's not necessarily healthy for them. So in ayahuasca trips, that's something that sometimes pops up. So I heard a bunch of this tobacco use and whatever. And they also consecrate tobacco in the rapé form. So it's like a powdered tobacco with other herbs, and then they consecrate that. And that's very connected with the roots and the earth. It's more to help out bring the people that are actually flying on the ritual a little bit more to the ground and to the earth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Gana Gil in the place. We got Ross Kaya Paul coming in hot. We got Daniel hanging out with Seraphim and Ollie Serafina, sorry, and just really stoked. I know Josh is out there trying to pull buds in from the rain, and he's got his some type of willow tree or something on there.
Dude, I love when babies make it onto Hash Church. That's my favorite. All ages welcome at Hash Church.
Definitely.
And definitely, yeah, welcome to Kaya. Welcome to Johnny B. Johnny B.
Good morning, everybody. I'm in the middle
Have you
of
done 50
sticky
push-ups already?
fingers. Well, that will be at 10. So we still got 30 minutes till the 10 o'clock push-up.
Nice.
4,200 push-ups a month. Come on, it's not that hard. 20 push-ups 7 times a day.
Getting it.
30 days.
That's what's up. Johnny B has been getting it, which, is pretty incredible for a guy that's broken damn near every bone in his body. I don't know if you guys keep up with Johnny B's drama, but the last car accident, someone T-boned him and flipped his car upside down in a ditch. And that's with already the surgery on his spine and the broken, shattered half of his body and the broken neck and the broken back and the broken legs and the broken arms and the broken jaw and the shattered skull. Just some of the things our Johnny B has been through while he sits there. If you've never seen the power of cannabis as a medicine, this guy doesn't take anything else other than cannabis and his amino acids and sort of all these sort of healthy supplements. He should be dead, really, or in a wheelchair or completely fucked. He is completely fucked, but he's completely fucked in our way, in the good Johnny B way, in the loving cannabis way. So I appreciate you as always, dude. It's always nice to see your smiling face. And I'm quite certain that you probably got the best reception in the chat room as well. People are still saying good morning to you, in fact.
Johnny, how did you have an accident? Was it your fault? Was it a duck flying from the sky? What happened?
So what was going on with this particular last accident? Some guy was, just driving down a country road, just hanging out. Things are good. And listening to Napoleon Hill, just kind of doing my audiobooks. And out of nowhere, some guy thought that being on his cell phone while driving, put his foot on the gas and blew a stop sign at about 80K and hammered me. Flipped me 3 times. The back end of the car hit the telephone pole, rolled and landed in a ditch upside down. Broke my ribs, tore the cartilage off my sternum. And 4 days later, I was doing push-ups. I was like, and ICB's like, well, that's impossible. I go, well, I already live in chronic pain. I do a lot of bong rips. I smoke hash. And I said that blatantly straight out. So that's what I use in my pain control. And that's about it. And yeah, and I just kept going away. Movement is how we heal. You cannot just sit there and do nothing about it. So I started walking right away. It took me 4 days off. I started walking, started doing my push-ups, using creams and stuff like that, and just being dedicated to oneself, getting up at 5 a.m. It's got to heal. You got to move. You got to keep things going. Plus, my garden was just growing, so I'm just like in the midst of putting that in, and it's important that. Well, I actually got a picture here, so I'd like to show you this. You guys can see this.
For those of you that missed
crazy
it, when Johnny
stupid
B
car
got
accident.
sideswiped or T-boned and flipped into the ditch, he literally went live on his social media 5 minutes later. That's how I found out. I saw him upside
I went
down
live
in
in
his car on his social media. I'm like, oh my God, John, what now? This is also the third or fourth accident since. It's got to be 2 or 3 since just your back surgery, no, John? Or your neck surgery?
Yeah, it's been a couple since the neck surgery. This guy hit me so hard, he ripped the door skin was attached to his bumper, as you can see.
Jesus. Yeah, it's never light
I
either.
mean,
It's never something chill. By the way, that's an incredible joint, Gana Gil. I don't even smoke joints anymore, but fucking hats off to you, my brother. That is an incredible joint. When I did smoke joints, that is a joint that I would smoke right there. Sorry to cut you off, Johnny.
That's okay. You don't have to worry about that's totally fine.
It's been a while since I've moderated one of these rooms. I'm a little bit rusty, if you know.
So here you guys go.
This is your accident happening? Oh my God. Oh,
Jesus.
Dude, how do you have that?
Oh, that's right, like this.
I thought only Russians had driving cams on their car.
Dude, you
It
can
looks
see
like
that
Johnny
red
was on the
truck
phone during his
flying.
crash. Maybe you were the reason why you crashed because you were filming.
No.
Tell
I
the
have
truth, Johnny.
3 cam. Now you can see he's sitting on his cell phone.
Come
So I
on,
have dash
tell
cam.
the
It was
truth.
all dash
Oh
cam.
my God.
You
dude.
had the accident for likes.
No, I don't know if it got any likes or not. I mean, here's the one I got into in 1988. I was head on by a dump truck. So that was the original accident. So yeah, I have been through several major accidents. And you know what? Understanding it was 20% of the problem, 80% of the solution was growing from that. And that's what I did. I grew from my accidents. And I grew by using cannabis, by helping it get me through what I was going through. I grew it. It got me off the pharma. It helped me connect to the community. It helped me build a better lifestyle. I mean, come on, you guys are awesome. We all do the same thing. It's why we're here. It's we give back every day. You know what?
Cannabis for all good for about 20 years.
That's crazy, dude. I'm still in shock. Welcome to Etienne, a brother from another mother in the house. He's been doing the rounds with the veterans. I've been watching him on Facebook. He's been doing all these speeches. And tell us a little bit about that, bro.
Well, hello. Just got back from spending a week in Washington, D.C. on the Capitol Hill. Took a whole bunch of veterans and we went after the Republicans and Democrats on the Veterans Affairs and Armed Services Committee. And yeah, we literally had 26 meetings on Capitol Hill in 72 hours. And a big shout out to our volunteers who came out, George Armstrong, Lynette, pardon me, Marilyn Mathry, my wife, Michael Crowitz, Brian Buckley, Todd Scatini, Nate Landau, Lenore Vanalis, George Armstrong, Tony Landry, Michael Green, and Amy Case King. We're all just veterans, and we went up on the hill, talked the talk, walked the walk, made a whole bunch of meetings, made a whole bunch of friends. But yeah, we had an agenda and a whole bunch of work, but tired. I just literally walked 12 miles in 2 days walking around Capitol Hill. So I just got home yesterday. So I'm a little tired and sore, but need to get back there because we got a lot more work to do still. So.
No doubt. It's amazing from the Canadian perspective. I just have that because I'm here and that's who I am. But it just, it's so strange, the like valor and that pride in country and flag and the way they send you off with such pride and love and bragging rights almost, like these are good men and women. But then you guys come back and things are like shaky and holy fuck, I got poisoned by gas and I fucking did some things that my brain can't let go of, and I would like to be able to use cannabis, and I would like, and they just fucking, they're completely against everything you want. Like they don't want to take care of you guys. Is this an accurate description of what's actually going on?
Yes, but actually, we're using you Canadians as an example right now. Actually, we're trying to, one of the main reasons we met is to put the Canadian VHA and American Veteran Health Administration in the US together, because currently your system, thank you to Aaron Victory and other Canadian veterans for educating on what's happening. Canadian veterans can actually go on their National Canada app right now. If you have 100% disability rating, such as you're given 100% disability rating by your VA, the Canadian VA gives you up to 3 grams per day, free of charge, depending on whatever your modality. So if I want pill, I want a joint, I want a lollipop, I want a sublingual, I want a patch. As long as it equals up to 3 grams in the end, the Canadian VHA will mail that to you within 48 hours. So, yeah, we were talking to them about reopening the Compassionate Investigative New Drug Program, which was shut down, where currently only Irvin Rosenfeld receives it. So we want them to reopen it, staff it with veterans, and grow quality of the cannabis of everybody here and what I sell in California. None of that crappy Mexican varietals that they've been pumping out for 50 years. So we're actually, the main talk is to facilitate and get various senators and representatives to put the Canadian and U.S. VAs together so that we can get something similar here in the U.S. in the sense of, sorry to bore you, we just want to have a voucher system so we can actually, the same way you receive free cannabis, well, all of our veterans are on disability with very small limited incomes, and the cost of cannabis is very expensive. So if we could get a voucher system within our 10th Amendment reality so that we could supplement and help our veterans actually get the medicine they need today as opposed to taking it out of pocket, well, that'd be helpful. So that's just one of the things that we're working. We're trying to get our medical card designation on our VA cards so that if no matter where we're traveling through, all 50 states, territories, or federal property, we won't get arrested. You know, simple things that are logical, but apparently, is illogical to, the system itself. So thank you to our veterans for coming out strong this week and making the stand, and thank you to the National Cannabis Industry Association for allowing us that ability, because we basically went out as 12 veterans and hit 26 different senators and Republicans directly, and they were very responsive. Some ignored us, but yeah, Bubble Man, you're exactly right. We're treated like shit. We're treated like second-class citizens, and we have to fight for everything we have. So we have banded together, and again, we're all volunteers. We don't get paid for this, so we're out trying to do this for the better of everyone. So we'll continue. We got to get back again there soon. That 7 days wasn't enough. We got a lot more work.
It's great
Chen,
work, Etienne. Go ahead,
I
Sam.
have a question, Etienne. Who pays for the 3 grams that you can get for free as a veteran in Canada? Who pays for it?
The Canadian government pays for it. It's a subsidized program. Last year, they pulled out $150 million or so. Unfortunately, there's a scandal I read that just came out this week. Apparently, a whole bunch of money disappeared, and there's a whole bunch of scandal around it. But right now, the Canadian government is funding about $150 million per year to give free cannabis to veterans who meet those qualifications.
Does that mean the Canadian government is buying it from private producers?
Yes.
I just want to understand how the system works.
I mean, they're buying it from the system and the system itself. So they're buying it directly from the LPAs. They're packaging, like I said, through the national app and mailing it within 48 hours. So we can't.
Well, keep in mind, we have over 1 billion grams sitting. Like there's billions of grams in Canada that aren't selling either.
Donate them. We'll take them. We take donations of every kind.
So I'm sure the Canadian government's getting that for a very good price if they have a deal with like one of these big Auroras or Canopies or something. Yeah, it's not easy, cannabis in Canada. Let me tell you, set it up. It's about as easy here as it is in California.
If it were only that easy.
Yeah, exactly. If only it were that easy.
Thank you very much for having us and having me on this morning to talk about that. We're humbled and honored, and needless to say, thank you all for all your hard work and dedication, and thank you for being the leaders in Canada for us to be examples to follow. So humbled and honored.
How can people support you in this cause at Canada? Is there somewhere they can go and read more about this, or is it just really connect to you on your social media?
We have a site, veteransactioncouncil.com. We're all on social media, etc. We accepted donations via the Battle Brothers Foundation, which is a 501c3. So literally anybody who could donate directly, that's tax deductible, and it was very helpful. We receive support all around the country from people, and we're an international group. We had an Israeli veteran. We had gentlemen from. We had Amy came from Mexico. So we're not just United States veterans. We're fighting for access worldwide. One of our gentlemen changed the international law, Michael Crowitz, in December of 2020, getting medical cannabis removed from Schedule 4. So currently, medical cannabis is legal around the world. And one of the things we were there in D.C. doing is reminding the U.S. Attorney General's office that currently the United States is out of international treaty favor, which we used to follow. Because if we were actually following the treaty, medical cannabis is legal in the United States and all territories, including around the world, which is why you're seeing other countries coming on board and pushing medical cannabis. So that's why we were there in the United States Capitol using Canada and Israel and others as examples to say, hey, currently we were telling the guys in the VA and in the Defense Department there that currently there is an Israeli nasal spray right now. So if you received a TBI, a traumatic brain injury from an explosion or a hit or a concussion or an accident, that they actually administer this spray right now and it stops a TBI in its tracks, because as we know, cannabis is a natural neuroprotectant, right? So if somebody gets blown up, okay, in a vehicle or something like that, they're usually down 2 weeks being concussed, okay? So if you could stop the brain swelling and stop the permanent damage that happens that the Israelis are doing, then that's something we need. So we were there trying to embarrass the American politicians by saying, hey, look, here's Israel and Canada way ahead of us. Where are we? Why are we not catching up? Why do we have to wait another 10 to 15 years before that nasal spray is available in our medic packs? People could use that today. Okay, so these are the things that we're trying to point out, the hypocrisies, so that we can make advancements for our brothers and sisters so that they don't have to continue to suffer. We got off the sidelines. We're tired of sitting on our couches and and complaining about things. Get off your ass, get active, get involved, and contribute to democracy. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear about it. If not,
vote.
Get it, walk alongside of us. We'll walk along with you.
Yeah. You got to vote, man.
Yeah.
Get them eating. You don't vote, you can't complain.
You just don't vote. You can speak to your representatives. Every single one of us that was there in D.C. represented tens of thousands of people. So when you go and you speak to your politicians, you're representing many people. So do so. Use your voice. Use your stance. Volunteer. That's how we've done things. That's how we've always done things. That's how we will get things done and change things, because we're not financially involved. Our lives are involved, and by using our voices to act and help out those who are the voices who can't speak, they will vote behind you and they will push you forward. You just have to get out there and lead. So that's all we're trying to do, is to lead by example.
And it sounds like if you're not a person who's able to go speak to a representative and go out and talk to your local, politicians, you can, if you're a grower, if you're a seed breeder, if you're a hash maker. Etienne, it sounds like you can donate product to you guys so that it does get out there, or donate funds that then can be used in that way. So, just because you're not able to talk to politicians, I'm not like huge friends with politicians or willing to really do what Etienne's saying, but I am able to, and we do donate to some of the different organizations that are doing that stuff that are, or even, you know, what's even cooler is grow some weed and give it to Etienne so it can get to some of these guys. That's even fucking cooler. I think that's
no. Don't give it to me. Find a local veteran where you are and adopt veterans.
Yep.
Adopt a veteran. Give them your free cannabis. That's what guys did for me when I was doing this back in '93. Dennis Perron's grower actually grew an eighth and had a free eighth for me every 3 days. So make sure that you adopt a veteran. Take care of those who can't take care of themselves so that they have access, so that they can be strong and be medicated, so that they can actually contribute and help and use their voice as well. So, you know, help locally and regionally. It helps everybody nationally.
Dab a vet, bro. Yeah.
So get off your.
I like it. We were going to talk about harvesting for processing, but how about harvesting for vets? Make sure when you harvest, tiny little bit of that is heading over to your vets.
There you go.
Someone's got to take care of them. Why not the cannabis community?
That's a great campaign. You know, it's I was talking. I've got some friends that are vets, and they're pretty interesting guys. They're like special forces guys, and I dug real deep into like living in a very undisciplined life my whole entire life, having no supervision from birth to up until now. I never looked at any discipline or any of that stuff like it mattered. I was always just kind of wild and free. So growing up and then getting really interested in it and talking to some of these friends, what I learned is that they commit and give their life to not the government, but to the group of men that they serve with. They become a team, and that team is just like, fuck this, no matter what, us against the world, I got my team. And I was telling them, I'm like, that reminds me a lot of like me and my buddies when we were like stealth, and we were just a small group of dudes that all stuck together, that had our grow houses. We'd hang out together after we tended our gardens, and like, we were a team, you know, and it was like, I see a lot of similarities, you know, and then I talked to them too about afterwards, you know, they're out of, you know, military service at this point, retired, and they're doing other things. But I'm like, you know, do you feel like your government served you well, and how did it end? And if you listen to a lot of the stories, it typically they're tapping out and they're leaving that because they're either, you know, a lot of them get accused of things that they didn't do because of, you know, the conditions of like, you know, engagement and rules of engagement and different things. There's all these different stories, but a lot of them in the end aren't really happy with the government and how the government, you know, ends up doing them in the end, whether it's through veteran services or other ways. So there's a lot of odd, when I talk with those guys, I'm like, well, you know, I'm a veteran of the drug war, and, you know, we served in a different way, but we facilitated the production, distribution, transport for consumption of medical cannabis. Like, that's what the fuck we did. We made great livings doing it, and then we got into science and we got into all this other shit. And they're blown away by it, and they all love weed. Every one of them that I know, they really value the compounds, the other compounds that we value. They also value the neuroprotectant that cannabis is. So that's why it's so crazy, Etienne, to hear about there being a medicine that's a spray that works as a neuroprotectant. That's fucking crazy. So that's nuts. When is that product available? Is that like a drug that's only for that?
It's currently available in a medic pack right now in Israel. So why is it not available at a medic pack right here in the United States? Why is it not in a medic pack for Mexico? Why is it not a medic pack?
Because they never wanted us to succeed with weed. It's too powerful, and it empowers us to live our own life and not give a fuck what the government thinks. That's just.
But doesn't the money go from the U.S.?
Don't tell Israel. They said fuck all that and did it anyway.
Like, don't you guys give them billions of dollars though? Didn't you buy that for them?
Yeah, we paid for it. We paid for it.
The money doesn't go Israel, America.
Look, you've already paid for this. Can we talk it out? And so they're going to try and put us together and have those conversations.
If you can get illegal oxycodone and all these other drugs on the street, we should probably be able to find this. I'll call a guy, see if we can get some, because this is
yeah. I guess you could call it a hash church. I'm not happy with the government, or like, you know, in sports medicine for that spray too. You know, you think about all these athletes too. You know, like we were just at a park and my little boy was seeing a football practice and he's like, football. I'm like, oh, I don't know if you want to play that, but it was, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you need it in the cannabis
crazy.
So we're talking about sativas.
But seriously, whenever they go into that blue tent for a CTE, they should be shooting them up with that nasal spray, because it's the same traumatic brain injury that's going to continue to swell, which is going to continue to disable that person, cause nerve separations, etc. So between cannabis, and then if you use mushrooms to reconnect those nerve endings that have separated, you're actually healing and actually bringing yourself back into, you know, homeostasis, preferably.
Using the endocannabinoid system to bring the body into homeostasis, which is fucking badass.
And then also using a very specific nanoscopic vehicle to deliver those drugs to break that brain blood barrier. And that's
right,
that's the one
directly
thing.
absorbed into the mucal membrane, right? It goes straight to the brain right there.
So hopefully in the very near future, I'll be able to talk about what that vehicle is, because I know what that vehicle is. And I have a company right now that we're looking into that particular vehicle. And maybe in the next couple of months, I can talk about that, because it really does finish the circle when you're talking about you know, delivering the payload and getting it to where it needs to go and making it still effective, because the blood-brain barrier is it's super fucking heavy, man. It keeps out like almost everything.
But we were educating them specifically on what even the endocannabinoid system was, okay? Because the majority of them don't even know, because, again, recent discovery. So, I mean, you could literally start to see their eyes just glaze over when you started to have that discussion. Those that were doctors or scientists, because some of them are, they got it. You know, some of these, no, they don't get it so much. We talked to a lot of defensive fellows, and the thing that got to them, which are basically their officers who are basically assistants to senators and representatives for a year, and so they basically work in their office, so they're being bred into perfect little generals. However, by using the TBI information specifically, that was a way to get through to them, because again, we're looking at ways to connect with these people to get what we want, right? And we can talk all the legalization and medical this. Talking that TBI spray was the arrow through all the bullshit. All of them, pretty much for the most part, were like, oh shit, oh that makes sense, oh that's logical, oh that's not a bunch of people sitting around and smoking pot, etc., etc. So again, it's also about finding how we connect with these people, using language so that we can get through all the prohibitional lies that we've had for 70 plus years, and make a human connection so that they understood that this could be you. Because we also used Alzheimer's as an example in using the patent that the U.S. has as a neuroprotectant, and showing these senators and representatives specifically, like, your government has had this patent, okay? So why is Israel and Canada being able to benefit from us, and we're being laughed at, and our guys and brothers and sisters are suffering?
Oh, we know why. We know why. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we know why, but I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to hit them in their third eye, and this is how we got through. So these are skills we're learning, and we want to teach you so that you can be better at talking to these liars, so that they can see through the truth.
Politicking.
Which is the psychedelic aspect of life too, which in Canada, you know, it's not just weed that you can get for 3 grams. You can now, starting in January, get, well, every drug is gonna up to 2.5 grams. I think it's 2.5 grams.
Just in BC. Just in BC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get to like help affect reality, which is super powerful. And then we don't also really kind of need to dance to all those songs. You know, we have other songs and other rhythms that we dance to and stuff. So it's a time where we can kind of choose our own adventure. And you know, sometimes you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, and then you see a little glimmer of light down the hallway, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try out this other realm. stuff. So I like it that everything's happening at once, and I'm thankful for it being fall. You know, we get to talk about all the good things that happened in the summer, the activist stuff that we're doing, and then watch the ganja develop in front of us, knowing that these compounds are listening to us talk and the plants are listening to us. They're helping communicate with us because we're breathing in their air and they're breathing in ours. And now that cannabis is going to help propel all these thoughts forward. It's crystals, they're trichomes, they're crystals. They get affected by thoughts, and they're water, we're water. So I just really appreciate the intention, you know, and everyone coming together. And in a slight shift, I wonder how everyone's dealing with their crystals right now in their harvest. And like, is it raining in your world? Did it rain in August? Did you feel a warm to cold night shift? Because we get sometimes rains when it's warm out and it's terrible for the buds. But if we get rains with cold nights, we really don't get the mold because they have this inner plant shift that happens that they're all, you know, it's the wrong environment. So I'd love to hear what some of the people are feeling in their harvest.
Yeah. Like what's being done right now to prep for resin harvesting? Like Ross, what are you guys doing right now? I saw you cleaning up the plants a bunch the other day.
Yeah, we have mostly been pulling in light depths, and in the end of August here, right after the Unicorn Cup, about August 25th, we got heavy humidity, and we have in a mountain valley, so the whole valley fills up, and then sometimes you get these just clouds going through the valley, and we just call them death clouds and stuff. But luckily, this year, we'll do push-ups too. Oh, you're doing push-ups. Okay, good.
10 o'clock, man.
I'll just say, Johnny, I did 49 push-ups in a row.
He's on a schedule.
Looks like we had glitch.
All right.
Nice one. Those are good. Proper.
Nice and clean.
But we're really thankful this year for the harvest, and it was really amazing. And we haven't watered our greenhouses for like a month and a half now. Wow. You know, just zero water, just keeping it dry in there. And then if we do get rains, instead of dropping the walls, we pull the walls out, you know, so the water's kind of going away from the house, and in some cases leave the end walls just totally open. And that just allows a little flow through, but there's no like blowing, you know, mist coming on the plants. And I'm so stoked about the one greenhouse left right now. There's zero mold in there. And now we have these cold nights, and you can literally see like whole layers of new crystals come on like overnight when it gets down to 35, 39, you know, degrees, which is we're close to freezing at this moment, you know, in these times and stuff. So big time cool years, zero powdery mildew around, even on, you know, the ground and stuff. We're using way less tea and way more just in the soil building, and way more into the layering and the mulching and all that. And I feel like it's really helping our plants, because the plants just go into the soil and they're just like, oh, this is what I have to work with. And it's not necessarily over pushed, you know, with nutrients to where it kind of becomes vulnerable. It becomes, they become huge, and sometimes it's fine, but when they have the cells and the way the plants grow, and they have just their soil going on, they tend to be healthier and they hold themselves better, and we don't trellis so much, you know, but we're not dealing with 20-pound giant plants either. And obviously you trellis a plant like that, but so it's been good for us this year. And
so it sounds like there's a lot of things that you've got to take care of in regards to the flower itself, right? In regards to molding and not kind of rotting out. But are there any things other than I mean, obviously each year you're going to make hash out of your varieties and press some rosin and smoke those ones. I'm sure you're keeping the guava lines going. I mean, those came out so beautiful in hash and rosin. That are there anything else that you're doing at this time that's really specific for the resin?
There is a thing about too dry in the greenhouse, and then sometimes some of the weeds will start dying and stuff. So you kind of have to keep a little light, make sure there's life going on. So that when plants die, they tend to get, more pathogens on them to help them die. But really, we're not doing any sprays, no foliar sprays, and minimal watering towards the end. And really, it's just walking through, keeping a really good flow through environment for to manage the pest. So we're having zero pest issues because we have so many flowers. So every greenhouse is surrounded by food. Another thing, we just had deer and bears, rolling through our greenhouses this year more than ever. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, it's cool to see a bear, but really, like, when it's in your house, like every day, all summer, it's just interesting. And then you have like deer in the middle of the day, like hanging out. Like, you walk into a greenhouse, you're like, there's a fucking deer in here. What's going on? So the animals are coming in quite a bit more. But like, I don't know. I just think it's keeping walking through every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, making sure everything is cool, making sure nothing's fallen over, keeping the weeds lower so there's flow through, and really like just praying, just playing music, and also keeping like the prayer vibes going and ceremonial sort of aspect, I think that helps a lot, and so that's what we've been doing, and we're thankful.
Someone asked what the guava lines that you're working with are, Top Dog or Oni. And then also, I will also add that we've also had the bears. It was a late winter. We were still skiing at the end of May. My friends were still sledding in June. And so the snow was really, when they came out of hibernation, the snow was all around them and they got pushed down lower to find food. And when that happens, generally they just stay low, and so we saw like an 800, my kid was on his trampoline the other day. He's like, Mom, there's a bear. And we're just like, oh, like which direction is it running? Our trampoline's like down on the road. So he's down there with his little friends, right? And he's just so chill. He's like, oh, it's walking up the hill. It's going into the mountain. Okay, well, if it turns around, just come up to the house, and my buddies were visiting in from Vancouver and they're like, look, is this normal, dude? You just have like giant bears walking around your neighborhood? It's like, well, if you did notice, we live in a forest and there's only 2 options. Leave the bears alone and then they'll be around, or kill all the bears and you won't have them anymore. And so we went for the first one there, just leave the bears alone. When they call those conservation officers, the only thing those guys conserve are their jobs, because they're the ones that kill the bears. They don't conserve them. So
we have a lot of logging and stuff as well, but I would just say there's just a lot around. It's called bear medicine, how powerful and strong. They're almost like a dragon. They're like, and they chop their teeth together, but they're so docile. And if you watch them walk through a garden, in some cases, they'll just bear their way through like squash. You can't really, but like in some way, they just tiptoe through. We've even had them open our car door with just a nail, whatever, and grab like chicken food out of the car and walk away. And there's 0 scratches on the car, which sucks that they're in the car, and we have to keep the food out, but it's kind of like, wow, situation. The guava punchlines came from Kush Kirk in Southern Oregon, who I thought might be here today. And he had been working with the purple punch and the punch breath. Welcome to Cal. And,
hi, everybody.
Hey.
Good morning.
There was some interesting blood-brain barrier talk earlier today, which would be fun.
Ooh, I love
but anyway,
brain barrier.
But also, I just like to say, everyone, all the DEM Pure family, like the coffee from Kaya, continues to grow in the family. I know there's new lines that Kaya's been working with. I know he was at Melting of the Heads, and you guys rocked out a really fun time there. I'm super excited to hear more about everyone's varietals. I've been getting just really amazing stuff from family. Super stoked about Heart Rock, Daniel, and these hashy auto flower lines that he's been coming out with. Really blessed to be trying those out this year. We didn't necessarily do them in numbers this year, but we wanted to see kind of what the finishing time would be like up here. And a lot of them all worked out like super well.
Bravo, Daniel.
The blue thunder,
so beautiful.
The blue thunders, the Lemonhead Chem is just starting to come on. The blue diesel, and oh God, what was the last one that we just harvested? But anyway, just thank you for those. And a lot of people up here in Canada and BC are really feeling, have bought your seeds over the last few years and are continuing to work with them. So it's really cool to see that.
And I think it's good for us to.
It was fun to see them.
Oh, I was saying, I think it's good for us to readdress. Like we've been pulling tarps for a whole lot of years, and now to be seeing varietals that are catching up, so we don't have to do that. That we can put our energy elsewhere and more into internal work and into family and community and places where we really want to be rather than pulling tarps. So there's a really beautiful free up, I think, for the whole, cannabis community and, putting our energy where we want to put it and having good varietals that allow that. So thank you.
Are we going to pop on those?
It was fun to see those grow up there. They were really pretty. And if you guys do have something good to submit to the Autoflower Cup, the entries are due at the end of October. We have one, I think. That's in mid-November in Northern California this year. And I'll be there as a guest speaker and vending. And I had a super successful autoflower breeding program this summer where I probably made over 100 hybrid combinations, where it was like part of my goal for these past few years to just breed the lion claw in with full terms and then make them autos, but make them polyhybrid so that I could start with a polyhybrid that's fully auto to kind of try to bring some strength and vigor and then go from there and work down the IBLs.
And by fully auto, does that mean it has two sets of auto genes, male and female?
No. So the autoflowering it's a recessive trait, and so it doesn't show up till the second generation of inbreeding. But it takes 3 generations to make it auto. 6 to make it like stable. But it you can cross an auto in with a photo period and just inbreed them or outbreed them. So if I did like a Blue Dream auto with a cookies and then a cookies auto, those F1s would not be auto flowering, but you could cross those two together. And then the next generation, which would also be an F1, would show up with a 25% or less auto flowering. So I kind of been working on that.
And so but the 25% that are auto flowering, they've got auto flower genes from both the mother and the father, correct?
Well, not if you cross an auto in with a photosensitive, but that 25% would have both parents' genes, but it would be expressing that recessive trait. It would be dominant in those 25%. And then you would select 2 of those. And then if you really wanted to make like the auto Blue Dream, you would go 3 generations down to make it auto flower, but then you would back cross. And that makes a lot of sense from what I've noticed from breeding, that to really stabilize the trait of that, you'd want to go back cross to the F1 or back to the Blue Dream, because that would really then bring the structure and the effects of the Blue Dream out further in that line. And then you'd go a couple more generations down to 6, and then you'd have a fully auto, whatever over the photo period you were starting with.
I love it. Sounds like something Canada needs.
So
we will send some down.
Bubble Man, how are your flowers looking this year?
They look it's not too bad. I went and thank you for asking that, because really what it allows me to do is shout out one of my longest time friends and mentors, Ron Hickey, who I got to see while I was out in Proctor, BC in the Kootenays. I hadn't seen him for a very long time. So for those of you that have watched the channel for a while, you'll have seen a couple of videos with me and Ron on the making hash, making dry sift and bubble, and just, he's a super character. He's just one of the greatest people that I know. And so I got to spend time with him. Unfortunately, before I arrived, he was like rushed to the hospital with COVID. He ended up, like I'm on the way, I'm like 7 hours into my 8-hour drive, and I get a call from his like roommate guy that helps with the plant, Will, shout out to Will. And Ron's on his way to the hospital. He's having problems breathing. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm super worried about him now. I'm just like crazy. Like I'm at his house by myself, hanging out with sort of the people that take care of his plants. And luckily he came home the next day. He did have COVID. I still hung out with him for a couple of days. He kept at a distance and wore a mask while he was in the house and whatnot. And we just, I still got to hang out with him a little bit and vibe with him. Of course, if you know Ron, he's got plants all over his property. He's got his greenhouse, and he's got, he moves the plants all day, like nonstop. He's like, oh, the plant's got to have the best sun. So he's just moving all these fucking plants all around his property in the most insane of ways that only really Ron could possibly do. Like it irks him for the plant to not be in the best sun. And so he had a lot of plants, 6 or 7 or 8 varieties. And so he gave me 7 or 8 of these different unique plants. I've got them out on my deck right now. They're probably like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks into flowering. So they've got like another month and a bit. There's a Congo out there that will probably do another, 6 weeks or whatever. I might have to bring it in and put it under an LED light if it starts raining here soon. But it was nice to have plants at the Unicorn Cup. I think, the only one who had living plants, because Ron was like, you got to take these plants. And I'm like, okay. So I had these plants around my tent. I was lucky enough to be sitting with these dudes. What the hell was their brand called? Melts or something? They had a something Melts. The two, they both had the same name too. It's terrible that I can't remember. Really nice young guys that are working in the industry, making beautiful melty hash. And he's like, I know, Bubble Man, I listened to you and Kevin talk, and I want to find a haze. I want to get into one of these, sativas. And so the guy next to me, Tyler, was like, listen, if you're trying to get into a sativa, what you need to find is that damn Congo plant. Because if you can find that, and as he's saying that, I just get up and walk away, because I'm thinking, I'm going to give these guys the Congo that Ron gave me to bring here. And I did. While we were sitting there, I came back and I put it in his lap, and he looked all confused. He's like, what's this? I'm like, that's the plant that Tyler was telling you need to get. And he was just like, mind blown. His buddy still didn't know what was going on until he just turned around and gave him the plant. And his buddy was like, what is this? And he's like, it's the Congo, the plant we were talking about. So shout out to Ron for just being so awesome. I can't even remember the name of all the cultivars. There's a Congo out there. There's a black Domina out there. There is a white wrecker, I think he called it. And one that was called Ezra.
What plant did you see that made you go, wow?
This one that he called Ezra was just like covered in resin. It was so covered in resin outdoors in the Kootenays. It just reminded me, every time I go to the Kootenays, I see at least one plant like that. And it was that Ezra. So it's not the name of the cultivar. It's the name of the kid who was living at his house and brought this cultivar. I'm not sure what it is. It's out there right now. It's the first one that's turning, like the hairs are turning pink in the cold nights, but these plants are very little. They're like a couple of feet tall, just some ornamentals, really. I didn't even take them out of their pots. I'm really not a big grower, so when I wanted to have what I am is a big hash maker, and I love the relationship of. I'll tell you, there's a show on Netflix right now, and it's all about pizza. I think it's called Farm to Table Pizza. It's a 6-episode series, and I'm telling you, these people are us in the pizza world, and they're all unique and different. There's a Korean woman, there's a Japanese guy, of course there's a couple Italian dudes, there's this really cool woman from Portland, and they've all changed the game in the face of pizza by becoming obsessed with getting their hands into the dough, creating their own dough, visiting the flower field, the wheat fields, visiting the fig trees, and all the different ingredients that they end up really changing the face of pizza. It's totally fucking inspirational. Each one in their own rights, you can tell, are just absolutely legendary. And it's so, they're out foraging mushrooms, and they're out foraging berries and flowers, and they're talking about the biome and the farming and the regenerative. They're just talking about everything that we're talking about. And it's neat that we're going to end up there. And even the Italian pizza chef saying, back in the day, the pizza chef was the lowly chef. We were looked down upon because we were just making pizza. And now they've elevated this pizza to what I would call full melt pizza. And it's just reminiscent of our community, especially, people like Best Friends and Gana Gil and, the Dragonfly Earth Medicine, just like really getting your hands into the soil and understanding that the magic happens in the simplicity. It doesn't have to be overly complex. And obviously the volatile organic compounds are going to be very complex and profound and have depth, but how we can get there it can be very simple. It doesn't look flashy, and it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very simple. It's a guy just walking in his farm with his rubber boots on, and he's walking into the forest and he's picking mushrooms. Like, our community has that aspect of that sort of farm to table aspect of, like, the one Italian guy says at one point, the reason my pizza is so special is because I make all my dough. I don't let machines make my dough. If everyone makes pizza in machines, everyone's pizza will taste the same. And so that was like a profound statement to me that really made me realize, like, yeah, this is us, some of us in the cannabis industry that are really passionate about this and love the understanding of the botany of the plant and the biology and all of the things that are happening in regards to the field and the environment and the terroir. And then the person who takes it, those hash makers, we're always so quirky. We're always so obsessed. We're just a different breed of people. And we want to get right in there. And we want to show, much like these pizza makers, what they all wanted to do was they wanted to honor the ingredients they were given from the growers and the genetics, and they wanted to create something that honored that. And that, as a hash maker, sums up what I want to do in a nutshell. And it really made clear why you guys are so, so, so important to me and the work that I do, because I'm not a grower. I'm not growing plants. I'm not getting in the mud. I can grow plants, but I'm not. That's my focus is honoring what you guys have done and creating something of value and creating something that can be a little, wind in your ear, just a little moment of happiness while you're hitting that bowl or twisting up that joint. So that's,
I feel like that really,
Go forth and be saucy, he says.
I feel like that describes the exploration of just fermenting and regenerative farming and building your soil and hugelculture and making all these layered beds and all that. We just are like, wow, look at all these ingredients we can make soil out of, and holy shit, look at the flavor coming off this. This is not peat, perlite, and worm castings. This is, wow, this is the whole environment. So, I think that's the exploration of the flavors and the terps, and do it for the terps, and, do it for the soil. Feed your soil, not the plants. That whole exploration is kind of that pizza exploration you just described. Hey, Gil, I was wondering, now that you want pizza, because Marcus just said all that, how did you survive the fire, and how are you doing this year and everything? I know you got sweated on really hard in Trinity County. And how did it affect your harvest, and how you feeling right now? Looks like you're at the coast, which is nice.
Yeah, I escaped the fire unscathed yet again. I've been at the same place for 10 years, and I feel like I've dealt with fire more than half the years there, but the last 3 have been pretty brutal, so it's definitely getting old. But yeah, doing fine. Place made it. Fire, I think it's still burning as of yesterday, but we got some rain this morning, so I'm hoping it kind of put it out. But just part of life in California now, especially Trinity
And
County.
that was the lightning complexes?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. There was like, that night it was like hundreds of lightning strikes all in like a really small isolated area, like really, really small. And it like lit 15 fires right outside Willow Creek. And it was crazy. I was like, every year it gets worse. It's like, it's like, oh, it's close. And then it gets closer. And then these fires now become 150,000 acres, or now they're like really close to town, or there's multiple. It's just like over and over again. That immediate area, the Willow Creek area, has had it really rough these past 2 years. So definitely feeling for all the farmers there really bad, just because the nature of the market isn't super great. And then to have Mother Nature kind of like throw you curveballs is just like literally the death blow, I feel like, for a lot of people, where we had a really late spring. It was really cold, and it kind of fucked up people's depths pretty bad. A lot of the structure was off, like small flowers, twiggy stuff, so that was tough. And then the fires came in, and it's like, it costs a lot of money. It's like your livelihood being threatened every day, which the stress is just unbelievable, but like it costs money to deal with wildfire. I don't know, well, I'm sure people do realize, but there's just all this extra stuff you have to deal with, that like you don't really anticipate. So it's like, it's definitely a hard year for farmers in that area. I'm really feeling for them,
Houghton Ponick has a question for you. He says, given all the fires, how much longer do you think the Emerald Triangle is really viable for long-term cannabis production? The climate is only going to get worse. Do you think it will shift growing to the north?
It's a real question, like, it's hard to say, I can't predict the future. I will say it doesn't like wildfires going away anytime soon. I tell myself, like, strike the same place twice, but like, it actually did in that sense. So like we had fire just to the south of us last year. Now it's just to the north of us. And even with all that burned, it doesn't around. It's like there's still lots more to burn. So it's hard, Do I think it's financially viable for big business to be in Humboldt County? I don't even know if that makes sense, to be honest. Like, I don't think big business belongs in Humboldt County in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's like the place for mom and pops, like farmers who live here, and they're so rooted in the community that like even with all this stuff, I feel like people leaving. So it's like, yeah, I think cannabis will continue to go on personally forever, because it's just part of our culture personally. And
can you tell us about some of your hype strains or something that did kind of turn out sweet this year and all that?
Dude,
Why?
like, you guys are in Canada, you're all talking like I like harvested weed and stuff already. Like, it's only like September like 18th over here. I haven't chopped a single branch. Like, I had some people hitting me about the rain, like, oh, I'm gonna harvest it all. Like, a lot of my stuff like triggered later this year for whatever reason, and I'm looking at like Halloween, like, November harvests, and like, luckily you can usually get away with that in Trinity County, especially these last few years. Last year was wet, kind of went to shit quick, but this year is looking pretty good. We got a storm going on right now that's calling for like a couple inches, but I'm hoping it then kind of turns around and is nice for the rest of the season. But again, my farm's small. I don't have a farm. Like, as I always, I have a garden. So like, I don't really have the stresses that like all my friends have, like, living in the heart of the triangle and bouncing between Humboldt and Trinity County. Everyone I know is a farmer. It's cool to get to walk their farms and see what they're up to and hear about their struggles. But like, I'm going to be honest, a lot of their struggles aren't my struggles. Like, my thing's just not really of that magnitude that it really calls for that amount of stress. So yeah.
That could be a teaching in itself, though. You know what I mean? Just hearing that, you're going to be around doing the same thing in 5 years, check yourself and what you're involved in. So that's cool, though, because sometimes it takes getting, steps and everything to get where you're going and everything.
And I feel like that last question about, is cannabis still going to be grown in the triangle? It's the big question that humanity has dealt with in migratory patterns of crops. You know, we know that corn has traveled all over the place. And was it because corn was so popular, or is it because, you know, different climates changed and soils got blown out or got flooded, you know? So it's an ever-changing earth. It's part of the flow. And I think that as humans, we're just seeing another big change in the earth. Who knows if it always happens or if it's something that's just happening right now. But either, you know, humans are just always going to be chasing the good soil and the good sun, because we get our food from the earth. And a lot of people don't necessarily recognize that. And now all of us recognize the importance of medicine from the earth. So,
and I think Steve's right. I mean, there's a desertification sort of happening in California. It's crazy. Like, it's amazing how dry it can be down there. But I'll just say, from a fire perspective, like, British Columbia can get gnarly with fires. And we had one really close to our community recently. So, you know, the fire thing is like a trees. And okay, so I think we should do less fire smarting, but I don't know. Hey, Josh, can you hear Josh? Oh, if you have to say something, Daniel, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about the desertification of the West. I mean, we're the logging of the planet. You know, here in California, there was an old growth rainforest, and in the Western United States used to have 8 times more surface water because of beavers. And even where there are beavers, there's not apex predators anymore, but like, so many beavers have been hunted for pelts. Or like the farmers in California, like in some of like the Central Valley area, they took the beavers out because they would mess with their irrigation and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's wild what we have to deal with, and fire is one of the roots of it. But I look in the forest here, and you can walk. I was showing my son Bodie, and like, I was like, look at, you know, he was like, how can we get the creeks to flow more? Because the creeks are dry except for the headwaters. And I was showing him the old growth stumps that were taken, and they're so well spaced out. And then we had this like thick forest. Yeah. And then I got to go definitely help my brother-in-law. I just wanted to say that, you know, the yoga, the guy I study from, Yogananda, says the goal of yoga is to be unshakable amidst the crash of breaking worlds, because it happens sometimes. And I would say, amongst all the turmoil, like, I'm having one of the greatest heart openings of my life. Not a Kundalini awakening, but a Kriya awakening, from the crown to the root. And, you know, this is a beautiful planet, and we have a way to go. And I don't know when we're going to get there. I don't know if I'll be telling my grandchildren grim fairy tales of the world that we grew up in, but hopefully they'll be telling their grandchildren, or somewhere down the line of the 7 generations. Yeah, it is interesting in the change. I mean, now cannabis was like the last outpost, and we're all in the belly of the beast now. And oh, it did. Oh no. And then I'm not going out the back end. We're gonna all find a way to cut our way out of this. And death is the soil that roots life. That's what when I see the chaos in the world, I see compost. I see rich soil. Anyway, I love you guys.
Was that Yogananda Pramanasa you were dropping there?
Yeah. I've been studying his teachings for 14 years.
Yeah, man, I probably read his book maybe 15 or so years ago, Autobiography of a Yogi. And
yeah, he does lessons that come in the mail. Like, you get 2 every 2 weeks for like a couple of years.
Wicked. Very cool. Very
Thanks,
cool. Don't
Dave.
hear too many people dropping Yogananda's name.
Hey, Gil.
Wait. Yeah, go ahead.
Gil, you never mentioned any of those hype ass strains that you were going to be harvesting.
Oh, that's funny, man. Dude, I got some cool shit from fucking seed that's what I'm most excited for. Like, for clones, I got some guava skittles, some sticky papaya, that motor breath papaya. I'm doing a little bit of that gush mints. It seems like that's going to be like super popular strain that everyone's growing this year, but I hear some. I got some kombucha 6, some honey bananas, I got a bunch of cool seeds from that Flying Lion dude in Nevada County. His like Slurrinade and Nasty Lemonade. They're all like dosey and like lemonade crosses, and trying to remember what else. I got some cool Citrus 25 from Graham, Mr. Bob Hemphill, Crickets and Cicada, that seed company he runs with his wife. He like gave them to me, like, I feel like a couple years ago in like a sandwich bag when I ran into him one time. And then like when I seen him this spring, and I was getting all his puck crosses that I'm really excited about. Go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah. I was talking about this.
I'm excited about those pucks. There's some really cool stuff in there. That stuff's really granular, where I really think there's some like hash potential in a lot of those. But so yeah, he gave me another pack of that Citrus 25. It's like a Northern Lights cross that he thinks is hashy. I'm excited about those. It's like orange terps, but they seem like they'll hash. And the thing that I'm probably most pumped about is all this Tallyman stuff that a friend up in Oregon made. Friends with Archive, but it's basically Taliman to Rainbow Belts, Taliman to that Astrius, that ChemD GB6 tricks.
Taliman's a dumper too.
Yeah, man. They said theirs is like an 8%er supposedly, man. So yeah. I'm excited about those. And they crossed it to the Honey Bananas and the Jungle Cake. There's some cool crosses there for sure. It's, I have them chucked out there. I kind of just put them in this one patch. They don't get really big or anything. It's just like an opportunity for me to kind of like walk around and smell them and check them out, hopefully find something cool in them. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Taliman Honey Bananas. I'm sure that'll be fire. I'm excited. They smell good. But yeah, like I said, they're looking like they're going to go forever, man. Definitely going to be a long time, but I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a pretty tasty menu.
Thank you.
Fuck, I'm excited. And I'm not even in the same country.
Are you going to be, because I remember last year, I think we reached out to you last year about Legends, and I don't think you were able to come down.
Look, it's hard to get out of the forest.
Yeah.
Well, last year it was in November, right by Thanksgiving, and then now for that reason we've kind of pushed it into the first weekend of December now, so it gives people a little more time.
Cool.
So yeah, I'd love to. I'll DM you and see.
Please do. Please do.
Make the pilgrimage.
Hey Josh, what kind of herb are you standing in front of? And welcome, Craig. We love you. Looking forward to hearing from you, and Collin, everyone we haven't heard from yet. We'll try and just hit each person.
Hey, how you guys doing? So good to be here with y'all. I got some coffee right here. I don't know if Kai is on the call, but I'm gonna let them go a little bit longer. But we're just getting dumped on right now, and they're just in the window. A lot of our crops like perfectly in the window right now, and I was gonna freeze some of it, but that's what's cool about just kind of the nice thing about hash for us is that we can kind of diversify our crop. It's nice to do a little bit of frozen and a little bit of cured, and just kind of play around with it. We like to do a lot of our own genetics here, and seems like people are really into like small batch rosin. A lot of our stuff, I mean, I'm interested in things that dump, of course, but a lot of times I'm kind of more into like what kind of flavors we can find that's not out there, that's small batch or I guess niche, as you could say, because we've sort of been discovering with the legal market, with the new market and all this craziness, if everyone's growing Cushmans, the dispensary can't have like 5 Cushmans from 5 different farms, but if we have like a Papaya Valley Goo, nobody has that. Because a lot of times people just want variety. I mean, I can tell you what's my favorite strain right now, but it could change tomorrow, or even if there's a strain I don't think I like, maybe the next day it works with my body chemistry in a different way. So we're just kind of playing around, having fun, just super grateful to be in this position that, you know, and have some recognition of being like in the Dem peer community. People always reach out to us and they're like, hey, love what you do, like love to support the DEM community. And it's always such a beautiful thing to hear that. And we're just putting one foot in front of the other, just keep going. And I love this plant, like Marcus was saying about the pizza, man, that resonates with me big time. It's pouring out here, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be than in the garden. You know, it's like, it's fun. And like wine, it's like, this is putting a mark. Our genetics can hold up. We might have like a little bit of mold here and there. But, you know, for the most part, like Josh, you were saying, healthy soil, like regenerative ecology practices. You know, for the most part, I feel like the plant can really feel our intentions and we get good yields. Even this year, we were kind of wanted to scale down a bit and do most of the work ourselves and keep it real boutique style. And it seems to be working out pretty nicely. Our kids are a little older now, so we're able to do like, you know, 95% of the work on our own.
And are you Craig? Are you working with Nasha? And are both of you working with Nasha, or I couldn't remember if that was true.
Nasha's been doing some. I think they kind of stick to Humboldt. We're in Mendo.
Oh, okay.
I've spoken with them. They sounded interested, but it seems like we're not really in their radius. But we do fresh frozen. We've been doing fresh frozen with a couple with surprise. We have a couple of rosins out, and we might be working with a couple other rosin companies this year.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see a lot of the farmers up in the Triangle right now. It's a really exciting time as a hash maker. I'll say that just simply because the nature of the market has people looking other avenues basically for, you know, more revenue, and more than ever people are diversifying, like Josh was saying, and freezing stuff, looking to work with hash makers, you know, doing whatever they can kind of at this point. So it's cool to see all the different people now prepping material for it, and it's just nice to see all the different hash genetics being made. And there's like exciting things. As bleak as it is at times, it's also exciting to me, like I said, currently, to see all that's going on. And the rain kind of makes things a little interesting as well, because a lot of people do the fresh frozen, where I feel like last year was like the first year that we really experienced tons of rain during the harvest. And a lot of people were trying to freeze their material, and you know, the material is sold by the fresh frozen pound, and water's heavy, so that's got to be a factor when you're buying material or, you know, working out some kind of split or whatever you're doing. So it's always funny to see the challenges that the rain adds. Last year it rained so hard, I feel like it kind of reduced some of my yields overall. When I was like scoping live plants, the apex of the plants had like less heads on them than as you move down towards, like, you know, the lower stuff. But it was literally days on days of torrential downpour, and the sun never came back out, and it was just a wrap. So, you know, hopefully the storm passes and the weather gets nice again. But as Josh said, it's just like parts of it. It's parts of being a farmer where you'll just remember, oh yeah, that one year that rain came in the middle of September. And there's always challenges. It's just always going to be something, you know, whether it's pests or weather, it's just part of it, and it kind of keeps it exciting and nerve-wracking and all that.
Totally. I think I want to show a real quick clip because we're talking about preparing material for solventless extraction, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do this without It wants me to make it full screen, but that's just way too big. And then I can't, see if I can make this a little smaller. No, I cannot. All right, I'm going to try and share this anyway. It's a very short clip. This is McIntyre Farm in British Columbia in the Okanagan, and this is them flash freezing their material on the field. Let me know if you guys can.
Whoa.
You probably won't be able to hear it, but you should be able to see it. He's talking about freeze drying the cannabis as it comes off the field.
Yeah, those are like those cryo freezers. I've seen some of those for sale from like the BHO days where people are kind of like trying to just get rid of them, where you can kind of come up on them for like a quarter of the price they were.
A lot of big leaves.
Are the plants manicured at all?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Sub.
To a degree. I mean, these guys still have a lot to learn. Let me just find where we are here. Oh, here we go. Stop share. You can check that out at McIntyreCreek.com. I just like the footage of the, those little cryo conveyor belts of the plants going in. Yes, they definitely could have trimmed those leaves a lot better. But just the idea that there's at least some companies already in the knowledge of understanding that preserving volatile organic compounds is important. And we're a lot of people, they ship this stuff at room temperature. They have no interest in making it cold. And this is one of the things we've had difficulty in Canada. When the chain of custody is with me, my hash is at -20 to -40 degrees all the time. Like once I've made it, it's in a freezer and it's just staying very cold, and I'm preserving those volatile organic compounds. The second it leaves my facility, unless I pay a ton of money, sure, I could probably get it shipped in a reefer that's cold. But what's going to happen is it's going to get to where it's going, to one of the provinces, and then they're just going to put it in a warehouse. And so there's been problems with that, where people are growing decent cannabis, people are making nice products with it, and then it's sitting, like, going right from a freezer to like a 100-degree Fahrenheit warehouse because it's the middle of summer, and oh, there's been a problem with the barcode. This is something that happened to my own hash. The hash was like white gold colored when I shipped it out, and when people were buying it, it was like completely dark. It literally cooked in this warehouse for 3 days. And then you've got to kind of deal with that lack of control in the chain of custody. And it's kind of a big deal. Like when you're talking about preparing your material for harvest, preparing it for the hash makers versus the guys that are putting it into eighths or pre-rolling joints, those are all different preparations. But now, we do what we do, and there's no more of that. Like from the farmer to the hash maker, we can really control the environment of which the cannabis and the resin sits in. But the minute we get it to market, I go into these stores in Canada and they all have their drinks in coolers. And these drinks have like 2 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. And that's what they're choosing to use their cold space for, to make these drinks cold, while the hashes and the flowers are all sitting at room temperature. And maybe they're sitting there for a while. Who knows? It could be weeks. I don't know. But by the time someone buys it, combined with the fact that for a very long time in Canada, people were buying we were regulated. So you have to buy packaging that is regulated. You don't just get to pick what you like. It has to be agreed by the government. And the things they were allowing and regulating were very poor packaging. One of them in particular was, it was the seal on top of right here. There'd be a little seal that go over it, and that's supposed to be sealing your jar of nugs. And what would actually happen is the volatile organic compounds would pressurize inside the container, and they would eventually consume the glue that was holding the seal on, just consume microscopic fissures that allow now this pressure to escape and these volatile organic compounds to leave the container while being replaced with,
he's back.
with that.
He's back.
I'm back.
You froze for a moment.
Yeah, you got a
It
Starlink interlink.
You went musky on us.
Where did I freeze off? Like
You were
You
like,
said the seal. You're talking about the seal.
the seal. So that seal was getting consumed by the volatile organic compounds and pushing out, the pressure of the jar. I'm sure you've seen it where it lifts up and bubbles up. Those compounds, those volatile organic compounds, they're volatilizing at like room temperature and colder. And so they would consume the glue or whatever material they were using to stick that to the top. Little microscopic fissures would be blowing out the volatile organic compounds, replacing it with oxygen. And it was all giving a really bad name to the people who were producing these products. Some of these people, like from the black market that came to grow cannabis, they just wanted to get legal, immediately started getting attacked like they were big licensed producers. And there's very much a narrative in Canada that legal weed is shitty weed, that there's no way that you'll ever make it good legally, even though these people literally support every other industry in the world, like where they buy their t-shirts and where they get their food and where they get everything happens this same way. But for some reason, we're very, and I get it, we're very sensitive when it comes to the cannabis plant that we've been stewarding for all of these years. And so I still believe that legal cannabis, federally legal cannabis here in Canada can be good cannabis. I've met enough cool craft growers at that Unicorn Cup. I saw some beautiful products. But there does seem to be powers that be, the same way they're in California, just trying to drive the industry into the ground, trying desperately, like they didn't realize that like by jailing us for decades at a time and, shooting our dogs and taking our children away, and really going back to even in Cairo, from the hash church, Legends of Carrefour there, wrenching out the Sufis' teeth with pliers if they had cannabis or hashish in their belly, the hash eaters. Like none of these things worked. We never stopped. Like those are the most, like what can you do to someone that is more personal than taking their children and wrenching out their teeth and putting them in a cage for a decade at a time? None of that stopped us. I don't know why they think trying to tank these industries are going to stop us either. I also, like Daniel, look at the chaos as like compost. We are seeds. The more they try to bury us, the more we grow up through the chaos and produce tasty, loud things that attract people's attention. They're not getting rid of us anytime soon. So that's my opinion.
We were born in the darkness.
Amen.
That's right.
Did anybody else find it ironic that you froze while talking about fresh frozen?
That was awesome.
I did like that actually.
Well
Craig,
said,
you
yeah.
harvest down there. What's going on in Humboldt? Are you getting the same rain? How's the Coyote Blue looking? What's your favorite hash varietal this year? And is Nasha working out good? What's up? Love to your family always.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I was late. It was a good swell coming in, so my daughter and I went and got some waves this morning. Actually thought I'd see Gil out there, and looks like he was here instead. But yeah, harvest has been going really, really well. We run 7 different cultivars, so that gives us timing, and that also lets us, over the years, we've learned that, what's the saying? You can only pound so many pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. Well, so many farms don't scale according to their drying space or their curing space. So we have a limited space there. So we go with different cultivars, so they come off at different times. So we can really maximize the full potential of our farm. So the Coyote Blue, yeah, we're done. We took the second round yesterday, and she's in. I left like 2 plants out there. I always like to test a couple varieties that I see out there. So I left 2 full plants, see how they push on through the rain. But for the most part, yeah, the barn is full and that's ready. And Coyote Blue is not a hash cultivar at all, but we have a really good flower market for it. And we're actually going to be doing some Coyote Blue gummies, strain specific gummies through Soulful. So super excited about that. And other things we're running is Guava Gift. through Green Source and Kush Kirk. So that's the second year for that. Barron did really, really well with our rosin. It was kind of like one of those outliers. Like, it was like, ooh, barely produced enough, but oh my God, after it sat for a minute, the terps were just super, super nice. And after running it through the whole season, through sales and everything, that in our flower market and dumps. What else did we run? Strawberry bananas become a staple on our farm. Like, first run, we always run the strawberry banana. For our dep run, we're just running cold frame hoop with pretty much nothing but infrastructure just to pull the cover. So we pull off that run in mid to late July, and that strawberry banana, that was bred for a hothouse. So it comes off really good. We'll throw a shade canopy over it to even keep those terps a little more, I have all these little things I do that in my mind, I think they work, right? So I'll throw some shade over that like 2 weeks before harvest, and pull that one off. What else did we run the first round? Man, my mind. Gush mints. We had to do a little fill in because we couldn't get all the cultivars we wanted. So we ran a little bit of gush mints. Man, that was phenomenal. Really, really happy with it. And then we ran a little double OG chem just for our flower market. And then this round, the replant, and we do our second round is a set it and forget it, we call it, where we're not doing any sort of deprivation. And the set it and forget it round is papaya bomb and rainbow belts. So we're working closely now directly with Purple City Genetics, and those guys just put out fire, right? So anything that's in our light up situation, which is about 2,500 square feet, is from clone, and that's part of that program. And then the other 7,500 square feet of the farm is all full season from seed. And this program has really worked well for us. We've been honing it and making sure that if we run something, we can send some to our flower market, and then the rest goes to Barron at Nasha. And then this is the first year we did just a little personal wash last year with Simply Adam, and that was phenomenal. Really happy with that. So that was our little taste of fresh frozen. And Barron has us signed up for 2 larges and a small, or 2 larges and a medium for freezers. And everything we have, we're going to do just a micro batch of fresh frozen. And that's about as big as we can go. And, we know scarcity drives a market. So our SKUs are flying off the shelf, which is really good in this day and age. But I say that's as big as we can go because we're off the grid, right? And we don't want to fire up a bunch of generators to do this whole process, where if we bring those freezers onto the farm like a week before we need them, we'll fill them with water jugs and get some ballast in there. And that way we're not pulling a lot of power all at once. And if we have a little hiccup in the night where power cuts out because our batteries gave up, it's not going to be a big deal. And we're running the 2 bigs and the small, so we can go in and out while we're harvesting into the small, move into the larges. And the larges can even be loaded in the van and taken straight and take out some of these nuances of supply chain like Marcus is talking about. But we're also feeling what you're talking about, Marcus, like the supply chain from manufacturing, from the lab to the market. I don't know if Barron was on already. He mentioned he was going to be jumping on, but man, there's challenges. Like, some of the big distro companies are like cutting corners or doing the best they can, and they send just a box truck, and you're like, whoa, back up, man. We can't do that. So I think it's really what we've always felt strongly about is working with our retail partner that understands what we're trying to do and run these small batches with the small vans and really nurture that market. And we're finding that consumers are willing to drive past other shops to come to the shops that care. So we're still the only place you can get our flower, still only at Soulful. but our resin and pre-rolls you can get anywhere where Baron's working, Nasha extracts, and we're keeping it in that loop. And so far, knock on wood, but we're still grinding and we're still doing it, and we still got a smile on our face. And that's, pretty much the story we got going right now. And, a lot of the other guys I heard talking this morning, talking about the rain and the nuances, that identifies the vintage, right? So when you go, 2021, that vintage was this.
Yeah.
Right. And with resin and hash, this is where Humboldt County, Mendocino County is going to shine finally. Like we've been producing for resin specifically for 5-6 years now, and we're just honing in our skills even more. And we just feel that those plants that can have full season interacting with our terroir and our living soils, those are just a joy to work with, and Baron's seeing better and better results than something that's like being snapped out in 2.5 months. Like it's not the same. It really isn't when you have that full season potential of all those terps in the plant, and that's it's working for us at least. And the other thing that Baron a lot of that is really important. Like Baron kind of feels like Bell's down in Mendo at Heritage, they're handling Mendo farms, right? And let those local ecosystems evolve, and let's not drive product way back up to Humboldt to wash it to send it back south, right? Let's really work within these ecosystems and support the farmers that are, within a shotgun's blast of each of these manufacturing facilities.
Macrobiotic hash making.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the product more affordable too. Like if you look at it on a manufacturing side, if the product's getting transported all the way across state, you've added like $1,700 to that load of material that's going to get ran. That's all going to come out in the cost, and what that's going to be sold for. So you're right. I love that idea. I've always I support the shit out of that because it makes so much more sense. And product grows well in that area. There's no shortage of manufacturers in the area, no shortage of distributors that can get it down to the shops from there. So it really should work that way too,
Yeah, and one thing we've always done is we've always tried to look ahead as to when we're going to need transport, and we've never just worked with one company, right? We always think of it as FedEx, UPS, who's going where, when, and when can we jump on when they're already doing something. So we have Redwood Roots literally at the bottom of our road, and they've got air-conditioned vans ready to rock. And I literally just sent a load to Soulful, and it's like, hey, when are you going to Santa Rosa? Oh, we're going Tuesday, half-hour charge, right? To go from like A to B, and we just needed like A-, right? So that all helps shave the costs and support these vans and these little micro distros. So,
well, that transparency in the scheduling allows you to do business with them, and if they don't have that, it makes it really tough because then, it's a service. So yeah, no, believe me, I deal with that logistical stuff all day long. It's insane.
Yeah. And I would love to get product down to LA, our flower. We have so many people that are anxious to, enjoy our flower down there. I just don't see the logistics happening in this market we're in at this moment, right? Maybe someday in time, but at the moment, Soulful's about to open up across from Golden Gate Park. Like we're pretty much like, scarcity drives our market, and we're not going to expand to hit these needs. We're just going to be out, and then we'll be calling our friends and neighbors and having them engage in the system that we've, helped nurture and steer. So one last thing I want to leave you guys before I, step off here. We did a farm tour with one of Baron's long childhood friends, and he's Himalayan Clarity on Instagram, and they're friends from India. And he has this business where he is able to get these clear Himalayan crystals. So I know a bunch of you are waiting for these. So check out Himalayan Clarity on Instagram. He gifted some of these after our farm tour, and they're just stunning. Absolutely
Water
stunning.
clear, hey?
Absolutely clear. He's
I got this
some with
smoky quartz from Siberia.
Epic. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I knew there were some crystals in the house.
Oh, dude, how about the kunzite from Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Hey, brother. For sure. That's sick.
True stoners.
Yeah.
Dude, I just bought one the other day. I can't even talk shit. I just like a fire ass one. Oh, bro.
Crystals, trichomes, crystals. Put them in the soil, grow them underneath the plant.
I can't wait to charge them up on the solstice.
Beautiful, beautiful crystals. Himalayan, what was his full Instagram name?
Clarity.
Clarity. That makes sense that it was Clarity after seeing that crystal.
Those are beautiful.
What's going on with Best Friend Farms?
Oh, just hanging out up here in Maine.
I feel like you're doing more than just hanging out.
Can do these.
Yeah. Just I'm here alone on the farm today, but was doing some last minute pollinations, select pollinations before the rain comes in, and a little bit of spot leaf, checking and pulling before things come in on the farm. But yeah, I've just been hunkered down, going at it, kind of small team focus this year, trying to keep everything really efficient and streamlined, really paying attention to the soil and the cost down on it coming from the farm, kind of like simple diet for the plants. And it's worked really well this year. So have some cool stuff to share, later on when I see more of the finish. But we kind of focused in on our tea rhythm with it for the season. Besides healthy top dressing and refurb of the beds, we have good living soil after the 5 years here. So excuse me. So we've kind of paid attention to keeping the bioactivity alive, feeding the soil on a continuum for the costs down, where we really weren't paying for much for outside input, but local liquid fish inputs that we've kind of gone back to a more whole food diet with fish meal meets compost with a slurry checked in every week. And anyway, kind of simple for cost down. And I'm seeing really good results from I call it surf and turf, because we're just very simple once a week hit. And yeah, results are we carried great health with the soil at the point that it was at through the year. And so far for just a really minimal cost down, and I'm happy with the health. And we paid a lot of attention this year to the early onset plant cleanup with cleaning the bottom third of the plant really well early on, 3 stages of cleaning. And yeah, so a lot of stuff going on, a lot of new strains for hatch and a lot of new F1 spread actually already. And I'm kind of paying attention to some stuff when it comes to the really, really loud terpenes that come up front, noticing that they don't necessarily always wash the greatest for plants with the energy divided into the terpenes up front, really primary. So I'm paying more attention to some of what maybe like a subtle nuance secondary terps that show up where they're not as loud even up in the mid flower, but they seem to come in but not overpowering into the late session of flower. And I've kind of seen some other cultivars that people are having success with at a couple other gardens that seem to be that. I like that sticker. I'm just reading that Mark is and that's going on that, at least when I did like the mid flower check on some types that are fairly common. So yeah.
Tasty treats. What about when we still always talking about terpenes, but we know that some of those more funky, intense smells are actually thiols and thioates. Are we getting close to moving into volatile organic compounds? Or are we still going to use terpenes as the lingo? Because I hear everyone talking, and I'm not against it. I just feel like after Nick dropped all that knowledge a year ago on Hash Church about thiols and thioates and esters and esterification of terpenoids, and like there's other things going on there. And I get that there's this big percentage that we're assuming is all terpenes, but I wonder, you know, how important are those thiols and those thioates in the volatile organic compound profile? I know in the world of hops, they're extremely important. I wonder how important they are. I mean, skunk, right? Skunk is a couple of different thiols that create that very strong smell. I wonder how much of what we think are terpenes are actually different volatile organic compounds. Just a thought.
I have some pure thiols right now, and I was thinking of repeating some of my earlier work where I tested each of the individual terpenes with pure 25 milligrams of pure THC. And I suspect that the thiols, I think there's a small chance that they may contribute to the synergy the way terpenes do in being able to affect the strength or possibly modulate the effects, the type of subjective effects.
I have some pure thiols now. Skunkman Sam quote. Who the fuck else in this room would have said that sentence? It's so ridiculous. Thank you for being you. And you should recreate those. Do you realize that was like 22 plus years ago that you did those experiments in your apartment?
It was. It's hard to remember the world before the terpene knowledge explosion, because we all had, you know, we knew some cannabis was better, and we also knew that a lot of the better stuff smelled better, but nobody really was able back in those days to show scientifically that the terpenes in fact can both modulate and some potentiate THC and also act in synergy with the other cannabinoids.
Well, I feel blessed that I got to do that experiment with you almost 20 years ago in your apartment when you pulled out all those pure cannabinoids and all those terpenes. I just was like, holy shit, I am in the right place at the right time. I knew it was historical while I was doing it. The fact that it was 20 years ago actually makes me feel old. But it's awesome. Thank you for that. And please do that with the thiols and invite cool, wonderful people from the community as you always do, because 20 years from now, we'll be talking about that.
Well, they definitely are incredibly more potent when it comes to volatilizing and filling the room with a run over dead skunk type smell.
So, Skunkman, if you could take one thiol with 25 milligrams of THC, which one is it currently?
I'd have to look at my list again because I'm pretty spaced out. And but there is one which strongly I suspect is and that's the one I have. So. But
the skunk one is N-butane-1 thiol. N-butane-1 thiol is one of the three that make up skunk. This is from Nick Ziegler.
Yeah.
You say that to all the girls.
I'd have to look on the bottle because I don't remember off the top of my head.
And the sulfur compounds that, you know.
But butane, bro.
But
the one thing
I've been warned over and over and over, do not open this in my house.
No, I think so. Sharif, so someone in the audience who's really knowledgeable, Sharif, is an amazing human being who does a ton of research in terpenes. He's calling out a GC times GC mass spectrometer to see everything, and I think, you know, he's calling out it right. You know, we just don't have the ability to see all of these compounds and quantify them.
No,
so
you can easily,
well, that's where Nick Ziegler changed the game.
Yeah, no, it's we're on the right track, right? But I think what Sharif is calling out, there's not an assay that's easily, we can't just like plug it in like we can right now with the other terpene classes.
I
we're
wish
getting
Nick
there.
was here because he spent a decade doing this with hops, and he put multiple machines together. He spoke about it here in Hash Church. It was like to the trillion. It was beyond the proton NMR.
You can easily test for the thiols. It's no problem at all.
Much less what happens once it's ignited in those combinations or those new volatiles that are created that we aren't aware of yet, but becomes binders between the lung-brain barrier that creates a chemical reaction in the body.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have Nick on, and then have also Sharif as well chime in, because it'd be great to have this conversation broader. But
well, we can do it maybe next week if Sharif wants to get me his contact info. I'm bcbubbleman@icloud.com, and I can reach out to Nick, and we can get into more of this volatile organic compound conversation, or at least let them get into it, and the rest of us can listen and learn.
Yeah, no doubt.
There is
always
doubt
down for that.
There is no doubt that the thiols contribute to the smell when they're present, but whether or not they contribute to the medical and/or recreational value of cannabis, that has yet to be shown.
Are they volatile when air drying or preserved and freezing like everything else?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, they are. But not as well as terpenes. They're very, very, very volatile.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And Collin, are you in New York?
Right now I'm in Massachusetts, and I'll be in New York on Wednesday. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yes, and we are going to be speaking by Zoom at the Organic Cup in New York.
Okay.
Because we're not going to be able to go across the border the way that they are right now, and that's just the way we felt like we had, that it was open in a way that we were going to be able to do it, but we just don't feel like it is. So that's going to be unfortunate. But we're also really excited about it, though, to support, that movement in New York and on the East Coast. And there's so many amazing people involved, and all the, the farms that are coming down, and the genetic swaps, and just the whole focus in New York as it's blossoming, for an Organic Cup is really, really sweet. So I'm really excited to see that blossom out there. And,
it's going to be great. I've been waiting as you know, over 25 years for this to happen, and it's going to be really cool, because there's a lot of hidden talent that just wants to come out, and they want to talk just the same way that I was once scared to share the things that I loved about all of it, and the things that I was passionate about. So I think we're going to see a lot of really cool just fresh ignited energy into the scene. I'm excited for that. So
and do you feel there'll be a mixture of indoor and outdoor farming because of northern New York and central and all that? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, and you guys were talking about the terroir and the Appalachia. New York has microclimates as well. There's really great pockets of areas to grow cannabis and other crops, and it's been a really good season. It's not over yet, but we have to pay attention to the tropics. That this is the time to really pay attention to Africa and what's going to rip off of there and go through and up the coast, and then that'll eventually hit us. So I've, over the years been trained to kind of look at that, but it's, the next week we have a hurricane that's kind of forming right now, and we'll see what happens with that. But, now until October 10th is kind of the time that makes or breaks, a good season. So, there's a lot to be seen, but thus far it's been a really good season, not a lot of rain. it's been really good. So this is kind of like a picturesque season for the East Coast outdoor. And in terms of just what type of growing styles we're going to see, I think we're going to see a bunch. It's New York. New York is going to be, imagine, the way I kind of look at cannabis in New York is like, if I could imagine the streets in New York and all the different types of people, that's the kind of growing styles that we're going to kind of emerge out of all this. And we're going to see a lot of that personality come through, and it'll have its own kind of its own voice in each kind of style. So it's cool. I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited to see what people bring, and people pay attention to different things in different parts of the world. So I'm curious to see what people are looking at right now.
Yeah, definitely. And just with the way that smoking is in the city right now, I think it's like a lot of fun for people to go to the city and be able to just smoke anywhere. And the smoking clubs, I know the Astor Club is a lot of fun. Liz has talked about going there a lot. And, some of those smoking clubs are, a lot of fun. And so it'd be cool to see, what that experience is like for people.
Yeah, and there, historically people have gotten, high quality cannabis in New York for a long time, for decades. There's been always a scene there. I'm sure Sam can speak on that, but it's, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the diversity. That's the exciting part for me. It's just seeing all the people that are like, maybe I knew them, and we just weren't talking about it together, so I think that's the coolest part. And then I want to see, just what people are doing in terms of cultivation. I know a lot of the farms right now are just doing outdoor. Some people have had the time and the infrastructure to build greenhouses, but not too many of them are actually doing that. So
and how is there hash processors and people like starting to look for farms for resin or what do you see in there?
Not yet. I think it's really early, and we don't know what the testing is going to look like yet here. I'm sure people are putting things aside for fresh frozen, but we don't know what the testing is looking like. So there's so many unknowns. A lot of the stuff, the guidance hasn't really been given out. So that's the scary part about where I think the state's at right now, is that there's a lot of people have invested a lot of time and money into things. And I think it's fresh frozen for a new market like this, unless you're experienced, I think it's a scary thing. So it's not, I don't know if it's going to be, and plus if I really do the math on how many acres are being grown versus how many people are in population there's not nearly enough, if you really break that down. So
I've spoken to a few groups in New York who are, you're right, it's beyond early. Like they don't even really have their licensing, let alone like funding or building. But the people that do have the infrastructure that kind of already grow, even just hemp, they're definitely, talking about getting equipment. I've been talking to them through Whistler Technology and kind of just getting them prepared for an existence where, someone said it earlier on, I think it was Gana Gil, you have to find these elusive pockets of profitability. You have to be able to figure out ways that are maybe, it's not quite as easy as it used to be. It used to be real easy, which created a soft environment. Now people are in this harder environment and they're working much harder for much less payoff. And it's just, I see them gearing up and getting ready, but you're right, it's very early. What does it happen after January? The licensing will be announced?
No, that's further out. That's the thing. Like you have to understand, it's hard to really explain, but take everything that's been said and it's elongated. So we're looking at May of next year for the real guidance for like not just the conditional licenses. That's next year, like middle of next year, maybe May. Maybe May is the soonest that it'll come for new guidance on like actual like cultivation licenses and micro businesses. Because right now I'm actually giving some comments on the micro business licensing right now, and I think that that could be really interesting. There's some cool paths that could be built through that structure that they're allowing. But the conditional, we have to remind ourselves these 2 years right now, this 18 months or whatever you want to call it, this is just a conditional. This is not a guarantee. This is just like, here's an opportunity to use your acreage right now for a stopgap, and it'll help us and give you an opportunity to try this out. So I don't even know how many of these conditionals will even actually port over into real licenses, because that, the license, the whole structure of all this is just still actually super infant. I hope a lot of them transfer over, so we just don't know who will actually want to.
I was gonna share something that it's been said a few different ways, but I'll share it in a way that somebody just shared it with me a couple months ago, and that is, good times make for soft humans. Soft humans make for hard times. Hard times make for strong humans. And the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah.
So we're in that time right now, right? We just came off of some really good times, a couple decades, slaying it. And now the strong are going to swim their way to the surface and hopefully help pull this whole community through. This community, when I say not just here in Humboldt, but like our global community. And it's moments like this where we can all reach out and discuss our triumphs and our wins and our successes and our fails. Really helps bring us all together and gives us allies, right? Like I love it. I love hearing, little whispers of things that are happening, with someone I'm with or someone that someone else is with, and oh, I know them and they know them, and we're doing something or they're doing something, and that's all exciting. So I just appreciate all of you, and Marcus, I appreciate you bringing this show together for sure. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Super stoked. Potent Ponic says people in new markets unfortunately don't understand why the higher end concentrates are worth more. That's the biggest issue with the higher end products, just educating consumers on quality. So I'll speak to this. When you hear him say that, he's not talking about our inner community of hardcore hash heads. He's talking about the people who are inevitably going to be the future users of cannabis. A lot of them have never used cannabis or dabbling in it now. Here in Canada, it's the 60+% of people who don't use cannabis, who aren't using cannabis, that the cannabis industry is sort of trying to say, hey, check this out. Like, it's a better option than alcohol. It's not going to cause you all these different health ramifications. It's a preventative medicine, even though we're not allowed to say that right now. Like, all of these different things, and how it's a unique situation. What he's saying is very true. What I found is I can try and release a 5-star bubble hash or a 6-star bubble hash out there. But the people who would rather criticize me for releasing products that they have no interest in, dry sifted products, pure hash joints, or the hash hits that we're doing, which are built for convenience and, more importantly, built to build a bridge to that 60% of people who are going to buy a pre-rolled joint. They don't even have rolling papers. They literally have a lighter as their only means of paraphernalia. We wanted to create a product for them that could build a little bridge so they could kind of come on over to the extract world and just check it out. And believe it or not, if you want to get their attention, you don't do it with 6-star fucking bubble. That shit will terrify them. That's like being like, hey, straight person, come try this ayahuasca for the first time. It's going to be really fun. Here, drink an extra cup. You got to take them in slow. And so just even like what we think of as like, a dry sifted hash, it's like a single screen hash. My God, Sam would call that a farmer's grade hash. It's not what we are looking for, but it is a great way to create a little bridge where someone can, smoke a little bit of hash instead of that paper and glue and maybe flour that's not even that good because they don't know the industry and they're buying pre-rolls from the wrong company, and it's milled and it's dried out and it lacks terps. And I just want to make a better experience for people who are coming into this to get turned on to something that's special. And if that can lead them to that full melt bubble, and then they can understand instead of have no understanding, well, they're standing down here trying to get up here, and we're not building the steps for them to get up here. We're expecting them to do this giant jump And they're not going to do that regardless of how we want it to be. And in reality, is that really how you want to turn people on to like the most beautiful, like just strongest, most purest, representation of the plants, the cold water and ice extracted, resin, or dry sifted resin that's clean to the same level? Those are like up at the same podium when people can't just go there right away. I'm very much I'm very much into giving people micro dabs. I'm very much into trying to give someone an experience where they can still try, but it's micro. And I've done this for, 80-plus-year-old people. It's like the smallest. I'm like, trust me, you're going to barely blow anything out, but you'll have the taste, you'll experience, and more importantly, they'll get over this real fear that isn't discussed or talked about that people have about getting too high off of cannabis. It's a powerful energy, and some people, it's just too much to take them to the moon on that rocket ship ride. Like, how about hold their hand and walk them around the coast of the ocean, down the beach for the first time, and then maybe we'll delve into the forest and eventually, climb into the alpine and peak the mountain. But like, holy shit, don't take them up there for a flight. Their first time.
Well, Marcus, it also helps because a lot of people that I knew that had not ever smoked, and I may or may not have introduced them, was vaporization helps because they don't like combustion. Most of them don't smoke cigarettes. And vaporization, small little dab hits like you're talking about vaporization, really makes it easy for them to try it without, flipping out or anything.
But let me add to this. You're right. If I have my 14 fucking things that I need to have to give someone a dab, my terp slurper and my 3 marbles and my fucking bong and my dabber and my temp tech and my terp timer and my baskets and alcohol and glass jar for cleaning all this shit and dipping it, and then my Q-tips, and like, dude, they have a lighter. These people have a lighter. This is not convenient. It's absolutely ridiculous that all of us are carrying this shit around with us at all times. We're fucking mental, completely mental. And that's the truth, and it's okay.
I don't know.
But hey, Marcus, with that said, man, what are you smoking on and what's everybody smoking on in this room? Come on, let's bring it back.
Dude, I've got some Forum Cookies cut hash rosin from Concentrated X that's absolutely spectacular. I've also been hitting his strawberry banana and his cookies and cream, all of which are beautiful and tasty and delicious. But I also hit Dragonfly Earth Medicines. Is it a guava punch breath you guys put in there? Josh, beautiful greenhouse and plants, by the way. That is not going unnoticed. I should put that as the main part of the screen. Let me see if I can just pin that. There we go.
We gave you a strawberry, what was it?
Strawberry guava?
Guava punch. Yeah, strawberry guava and guava punch, but it was like a one that we've been working with. So there's some coffee in there and also a little bit of
it's
garlic.
Really nice. It's as nice as anything. Like, that is beautiful resin. You guys knocked that shit out of the park. Go buy them.
Well, right
this
here,
this is where we grow it.
This is our breeding house right here, and it's pretty exciting. Like, over here we've got some cis skunk times let's see, zellies, and we've got some purple punch right here.
Whoa.
And people asked us why we did like the offset,
What a fucking name.
walkthrough thing. It was just because, we want like that organic flow going. We want a little bit of like that, just we never know where the aisle's gonna be and everything. So.
And right here we have some fire glue cis skunk. We have some strawberry cream cake. Beautiful.
We got Terp Wizard. Here's some Terp Wizard. Big up, Connor. Strawberry cream cake, strawberry jelly. Is that what it's called?
Connor's flying into Arcata tonight. He's going to be staying at my place for the next 3 days, helping out. I'm super excited to engage.
Nice one. Big love, Connor. He's about ready to become DEM peer certified out in Michigan. And we would like to also just shout out the whole Michigan crew, everyone. I just want to, you know what? Let's take a minute. Let's shout out everyone. Everyone, you're awesome.
Everyone, you're awesome.
You're all awesome.
You're all freaking awesome.
And this,
we have some coffee cake here. We have some coffee grape cream going on.
Sally's gift. I'll just say that this is never, we never have used tea in this greenhouse, only water. And it's only because of the way we built the beds. We had like probably almost 2 feet worth of mixed ramial branches and chips and woods from the trees and rose bushes and some manure and a little bit, all kinds of green,
and here's a lace wing right here.
Where's the lace wing?
The lace wings are just going off in here. We have a mothership, which is great. It's one of our oldest strains.
And I'm not saying these aren't good. Teas are awesome. We have a tea compact that you look at the plants, and if you look at them and they're just flat leafed and healthy their whole life, I mean, you just have to give thanks to like the mother and just let it be.
Damn, I wish your camera was better out there. Those look really nice. It almost looks psychedelic and like a half cartoon, half reality situation on my big screen here. It's and just Kelly walking through the middle of it.
I want to get to the fire glue.
So good, dude. So good.
One of the strains that we're really excited about, if you can see, is this fire glue.
Okay.
I think it may have come from the glue on fire from Steve at Green Life Productions. Big love to Steve at Green Life Productions. It just came out amazing. And then we have the fire glue cis skunk. So we have like Dominion Seed Company, Duke Diamond in the place. We got going on here. We got the baked, that's the Terp Wizard Connor.
The royal purples were early beautiful finishers too.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting cotton mouth just looking at these things.
Dude, I know. I want to do like pizza and like hash making. This is going to be my new like restaurant. You come in, you get pizza, but then you got to make hash while you're waiting for your pizza to be. These are my two loves.
We'll bring the tomato sauce. Sign me up.
Seeing all this flour is amazing, and like the consumers at the moment have to buy all their herb through a dashboard and like numbers from a lab test where we're actually like touching our plants and seeing them and breathing them and living with them. It's like
important.
That experiential cannabis needs to come into the scene at some point.
It'd be cool if people could come out and like pick out like which plants they like and and do like a you pick or something like that kind of thing. Like what terpenes speak out to you. And that'd be something we could probably do through Soulful potentially too,
I know Ananda Farms in New York, they did that with their hemp plants last year where they actually did a full and pick and pull where people come in. It was done by veterans. And
wow.
They're doing it again this year where they grow the plants out and then people just roll on up and they do it as the farm, and then they came and were able to ask all their questions, and they make their own balm and other things like that. Shout out to Sarah Steniff and them and their veterans out there in New York that do that. Much love and respect.
That's rad. Yeah, just take a few nugs home, dry it there. Take a couple of colas. I mean, that'll last you for a while.
Yeah, they did it by you could either take colas or the whole plant. Most people tended to take the whole plant, interestingly enough.
Whoa. I love it.
Dude, I'm not surprised that people take the whole plant. I've shown a lot of people different places to pick mushrooms. Edible mushrooms, never a problem. Psychedelic mushrooms, eventually some motherfucker goes and digs up the mycelium with a shovel. That's how like crazy it gets. It's just like, dude, just like, this is just a little, like I literally caught my friend digging up the entire mycelium bed of a cyanescent patch that was a big patch in North Vancouver. I was just like, dude, how about leave some for the next guy? Always leave some for the next guy. Hey, and as speaking of that, as we enter the fall here, this is mushroom season here in Vancouver. In the next like 2+ weeks, we'll see the Semelenciatas, known as the Liberty Caps. We'll see the Stunsies and the Baleocystins and the Cyanescens, known as the Wavy Caps. They'll all start popping up. Amanita as well, but I'm not so interested in those ones. So if you get out into your forest and wander around, there's some interesting things popping, not to even mention all the amazing winter chanterelles and lobsters and reishi and, you know, cauliflowers and all these incredible mushrooms that are just going to start going off in the forest here soon. It's a really great reason to get out into the forest. And it's just the gift of nature herself.
We inoculate our straw bales that kind of line some of our garden spaces, and the wood chips, we inoculate it with King Stropharia. And we've been getting beautiful flushes going on right now.
Wicked.
And it's just, I love having those wine caps around, and it's always a gift when you show up in the morning and there's a whole other flush going on. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It is. The smile on my face when I picture it is just inoculate the world. Shout out to Drew from Instagram, Inoculate the West, Inoculate the World. If you don't follow, go follow him. Awesome dude that's really collected an incredible array of spore prints in the psilocybin family. You can get them and acquire them and experience them. These little aliens. Something serious.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to our 710 crew. You know, veterans, they have their own usual, they're local. So our VAC crew is our local 710 on the hill all week, and we will continue to be. So just FYI, we're working it hard for everybody out there. So
get it,
keep it flowing.
Hell yeah. Marcus, I just wanted to say thank you. And this is the coolest church I've ever been to. Haven't been to many churches. The whole cannabis journey for me has been the catalyst to everything good I've learned in the last, 20 years, all the good people I've met. This is a true honor to be here. And single source farming has just taught me to search for quality in all aspects of my life. And the thing you said about the pizza kind of was a fun old irony, because it was like, when I used to be at the spot on the hill, it was like you couldn't even order a pizza, and that was one of the sacrifices of being up there for the summer. You're growing your good pot, you're having your couple turns in the greenhouse and your full term outside, and you can't even order a pie when you're tired after like a 12-hour day. So I just love that. And, anything where people are really into something, they dig that deep, and you make a couple fun and not so fun sacrifices. And thank you guys all for everything you do.
Hell yeah, man. Well said. And you know what? We didn't hear much from you. Do you want to tell us about sort of a little bit of your journey and maybe some of your favorite flavors or things that you got in the ground?
Yeah, I would love to. For the last decade, I was lucky enough to rent this really cool place up in Los Padres Forest, which is like 805 Santa Barbara area. Shout out to all the small growers that are still doing their thing there. There's a lot of big money that kind of bullied our really cool small community. And I was lucky enough to go on an organic journey because I was working for an awesome ag farm there that does the best vegetables around. And they would practically give us truckloads of compost to take up to the spot and work with. Then we started making our own compost, making our own teas, try to keep it simple. Worked on through the old slab days, the envelope days, the parchment paper days. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. That I feel like I got saved by the solvent list. I was kind of stuck in the cloud of the DHL mountain, and then some people pushed me into some good things, and the solvent list came to life. And I realized, like, CRC, there was a good thing that came from it, and that was the tasty jars that we're lucky enough to be sitting in front of. There's obviously Addison's got this treasure chest of sharing right now, which is fucking wild. So yeah, I have some full terms in the greenhouse that we're pulling right now. We had a little heat wave that kind of fucked us up. Ironically, we have a wall of dragon fruit in one greenhouse, and they're just going off because we had that little tropical thing go down. So there's like 20, a couple dozen dragon fruit in there. And then meanwhile, we're kind of little trial and error this year, pulling some of the Masonic gear that we bought, like 20 different things from him, pulling them a little early and getting them frozen. Did some in-house crosses and working with those, getting them in the freezer. And then was lucky enough to pull some depths this year, and we're enjoying those jars today. And pretty small, pretty single source, but just trying to keep at it so that I don't have to work for anyone else. And that's been the journey. So thank you once again.
Sounds like a great journey, man. Admiral journey.
Thank you.
And beautiful garden, Josh. That was spectacular. You guys just showing that whole thing, the mountains, your backyard. Thank you for sharing that. That was tasty treats.
Right on, family. Give thanks to every day is a blessing. So,
what didn't Kaya
nice
have to say anything? Kaya just
Hey?
sat there half asleep.
I
the whole
know.
time,
I was
laying
actually
down.
just
That was
writing
awesome.
it. I was
Didn't
just
say
writing it.
nothing.
He's got
Just laying back.
Kaya has a new family member, baby in his life, and all these beautiful kids and a superb wife and everything, partner. And so I'm sure he got busy and stuff. So I guess we're lucky we got to see him for the time we did. Super thankful for Kaya, Pacific Northwest Roots, if you don't know, online. Worldwide Genetics, Pacific Roots, Worldwide Genetics, just all kinds of stuff. He's always out there. He's just a special person. Got the Hawaiian aloha vibes going on, along with the Northwest, First Nations kind of roots and stuff. So, I love our family is so eclectic and all over the world, really. And, no borders in our family. So, it's really cool to hear, little bits from each bioregion and biosphere. We have so much love and respect for all you all and what you're doing and putting forth good medicine to the people, because we're all out here just trying to survive, putting forth good medicine to the people. And it's, it's our mission in life. So, I'm just really stoked. There's, ain't no stopping us now, nothing's going to break our stride. Everything's keeping on pushing and all those good things and stuff. So we're steady on the grind here at Dragonfly Farm. We have a new grandchild in our life. We've had 2 home births on the farm, total herbal, cannabis, medicinal mushroom, herbal, no, checking in with nothing but, Mother Gaia. And, we're thankful for that mission, and Kelly and her midwifery. Just, in a time when it can be difficult, it's sweet to see new life come into the earth, and into our family. And then just gardening with your grandchild all summer is like, it's like a level of spectacular that's just like, you can never explain it until you're there. And she loves doing tarps. So here we are pulling tarps with the it's just, there's just a lot of good news to be had out there, so, don't get worried. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and, it's these kind of people out here that keep the inspiration going. And big up to the community who's writing online. There's so many people I would love to personally say their name, or have them on the show. So I would just like to say the show is everyone's comments. The show is everyone's participation. No one person is ahead or behind the other. It's truly a magical fractal
teamwork going on, so everyone's invited and everyone's on time, for their mission. So go do your best. And we're getting on in our day, and I have a bunch of stuff to go tend to in the garden. So I think I might end up signing out right at this moment. I'd love to hear maybe some more things from everyone, but just big love from the Dragonfly family, DEM Pure all the way, all the family members, everyone else, the collective, anyone doing something good, that's what's up. Anyone doing something good, that's what's up. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Josh and Kelly and the whole Dragonfly Earth Medicine crew. They helped put this last minute hash church together. And I don't mind going till like noon, another 12, 13 minutes. Anyone want to drop their social media or their projects that they're doing or something cool about someone or point us in the direction of someone we could be helping or we should know about, whatever it is, feel free to say it. Joshua, thanks for walking us through your garden. That was tight. I pinned it for a little bit
Hey,
there.
I just I figured I was out here and we could just kind of check out a couple of things we got going, some pumpkin cover crops here and some plants that are falling over. We're kind of experimenting with like less trellising this year and keep it natural, but some of these bigger gals over here throw the last trellising on and yeah, just kind of playing around. Got some fun like key lime hash crosses here. Got some more pumpkins just coming through. We already did a little bit of harvesting on here, just kind of successions. Here's some smaller plants starting to do their fade. But yeah, we're just getting some nice rain right now. I mean, we'll take it. And these plants will hold up nice. It's actually kind of fun to see which ones stand up tall through all this and kind of breed accordingly and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, some more of the key limes here. The key limes have been nice. They've been dumping some good resin for us. What's up with we're still kind of learning like, optimal harvesting for fresh frozen. We've got some buddies who we've done, like cured hash with and stuff like that. And he'll see a super frosty plant and be like, oh, that one's going to dump. But then I feel like for fresh frozen, do you feel like if you
let them get ripe?
This one's looking pretty nice and ripe here.
Hey, Sam, do the thiols really build up at the end of the cycle as well as the terpenoids and everything from your experience? Is that another reason to let the plant ripen more?
I think you might be losing them a little bit during cultivation, but I find at the moment of harvest seems to be when it has the strongest smell. But then during the, say, 2 week in the dark drying, it's I mean, you can smell it for half a mile away if it's a large dry.
Hey, Marcus, I want to give a shout out real quick to Dean O'Brien and his Victory Glassworks. They gave some donations to our veterans that we're able to use all week for our dabbing in DC, and I just want to say thank him for helping us out. We appreciate it. Much love.
Hell yeah, absolutely. I want to get Brian on the show again, maybe do another hash church about, maybe it even could coincide with Sharif and Nick and the volatile organic compounds, because not only do we want to talk about and understand how they're produced and how they're preserved, but then if we're so obsessed with preserving them, then too shall we be to the level that Brian is obsessed with how we consume them and how does the material we consume them off of them create buffers to further preserve those compounds right up until the point where we are experiencing them instead of changing them before they get into our olfactory and into our taste buds. Notes taken.
Yeah, I wanted to say something real quick. Collin, did you get in trouble for something today?
It's not the place. It's not the forum for it, my friend. This is absolutely not the forum for it. That's so funny. No, not at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
I just remembered that.
We're fine. We're good. We're good.
That's kind of funny because
it's the principle, not the fact, right? That's the whole thing.
if that's what you're being convinced to believe, sure.
Hey, I also do want to give a shout out to Wade Laughter. Wade has actually become part of our veterans group because he was a Vietnam veteran. And he's been working with us, and he's been going through his cancer, and he's coming out on the other side. And he gives great thanks to cannabis and mushrooms. So it really got to him. He literally has metal in his neck, etc. But I just want to shout out a special love to Wade. I will see him this week during VAC meetings, but he's doing well. I know he sends his love, and he has put on the fight of his fight, and he's coming out through it. So thank you, Wade, for the strong fight, Laman.
Yeah, dude, thank you for bringing Wade up, Etienne. I want to also reiterate that sentiment and send my love out to Wade. Wade, you're a special human being. We absolutely love and adore you here on Hash Church. You're part of our community, part of our family. Yeah, be strong, do well. You've got our support anytime you need it. It's always there. And we're looking forward to the day that you're back enjoying a Hash Church with us. So shout out to Wade. And if he's not watching now, Etienne, make sure you show him this because I'm sure we're all sending him our love.
Yeah,
hi, Wade.
I just love Wade.
He's motivated and healing. He couldn't make it to our lobby day in this past week, but his motivation is to make it in May to us of 2023. So we look forward to having him strong and walking alongside us in the halls of Congress. So
I would love to give some pounds to the vets if you can help me facilitate that after the fact.
Yeah,
I'll be happy.
Operation EVAC and Ryan Miller and them, they do that. They give away cannabis free to our veterans and make sure of all that. So
okay,
keep this in mind.
Thank you.
Out. That man right next to you knows how to reach out to me.
Perfect.
I love you.
One thing that I think would be interesting to share is I've been running through. I'm going to read the list of things. I-95 times cherry pie times Tony Clifton, watermelon Skittles times Z times tropical Skittles times peanut butter runts, and then Gary Payton times banana runts, and all of those are hitting above 6% on yield for washing. All of them, all of those that I listed. So
that's the heat, right?
Sounds like the progenitors are correct.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I know you're a fan of Gary, so I think the banana runts adds a little twist to it. Yeah. But those are banana runts is from Soulfire for those that want to know. We've got
Is that stuff that you guys have put together or that you're running right now, or what's that? Mass.
Yeah, those are in mass. Yeah.
So for mass, what are you selling most of? Are you selling to the public, like mass market?
Not currently. We're working on breeding projects right now, and then we're going to partner with there's an outfit here that we're working with to get those into licensed producers so we can put those into play. So those have a home for them. And then they're will be banked with Canopedia and Medicinal Genomics, and then backed with PathoSeq, which is their kind of pathogen kind of verification system.
What's the max that they'll pay in the mass market for 6-star, if they even get it?
Yeah, That's the other question. But I think it's still like to 2016 and you know, in California, $85+ a gram. You know what I mean? So that's just where it's at right now, because the pounds are still on the just the regulated side are still reaching 3 grand. You know, so it's just the paradigm is still there and it's strong, so it's still holding somewhat. But you'll find rosin wholesaling for like 22 to 30 a gram, you know.
Yeah.
So
Typical a quarter of the price of the full mount.
Yeah, it's you know,
they're not pressing the full mount, they're
But not
pressing
the
the
same
mediocre.
It's not all the same strains though. Like the 6-star is going to be 4 or 5 strains, where like the $22 hash rosin is going to be like 8 fucking strain, 8 of the same culprit, 8 of the same 16 culprits that you see everywhere.
It's that third press.
Yeah, and then exactly, it's like full, it's like you know, mixed micron and stuff, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's
full spec bangers.
Yeah, so the East Coast has a lot of, like, just in terms of like where we're at, just because there's not a lot of accessibility still, you know, we kind of forget because we're so spoiled that we just don't have it. And if that's the thing, that's the other thing, people are excited to learn about hash right now on the East Coast, or really rediscover it, I think, honestly. So
It's, you know, it's like, I think it's like out there, what I see is a lot of product still goes to flower market because it has value in flower market too. So it's a little different where, you know, and the reality is like West Coast and the East Coast smoke a lot of hash. The difference is our Q-tips are a little less dark on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, when we clean up our banger, it's like, because it's different material that's going in. There's more availability of super high-end stuff. And that's because you have 2 different forces pulling. There's the market pulling to flower, which is always viable there. And then just, you know, the buying market, it's just kind of different. I mean, New York's interesting to see it kind of turning on and just watching like pop-up stuff go from California to New York and things happening and other stuff. But how's that? Because you're close to that market too. Like what are you kind of seeing there?
you know, it's the kind of, as I alluded before, I think it's like everyone needs to just slow down and let like the structure kind of get there, you know, and then we can be really truly excited. But I think it's just a mixture of everybody kind of, you know, wanting to get their chance and gearing up for it, and it's gonna have a lot of personality, you know. I think that's the cool part about it. So I'm really, honestly, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be amazing and interesting and everything in between. And it's the center of many cultures. So I'm excited to see what that comes of it too, you know? So
Heck yeah, there's been a lot of trapping. That's the one thing I've seen is like Daniel Boone fucking banging out in New York.
It's the last frontier though, you know what I mean? So
when did the rosin caps with the tails happen then? If that's
they're coming.
There's the push-ups, guys. Anybody gonna join me for push-ups?
I like
every 2 hours.
But yeah, I mean,
Johnny B.
There's a lot of cool people that I think have been doing things that want opportunity, and this is their chance. So, you know, gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's I mean, Piff doesn't really make the greatest hash, does it?
Oh no. When you look, all of it, I think again it has to go through its own contemporary kind of renaissance, the change and all those, because people have been holding things for decades in these areas that have just been growing the same thing. They just don't want to go out and find a new thing or buy a seed pack and take the chance on it, to be honest, because they don't have the space for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be interesting, and seeing kind of what, you know, because knowing just what I've kept and been so insular with, and knowing some of the other people that have been doing the similar things, you know, that crossed with some of this newer stuff that I'm now starting to explore, I think is going to drive a lot of what New York's going to become. You know, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got to jump off. But it was awesome. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to also end it here at noon. I appreciate everyone coming in and doing their thing and sharing their vibes. And let's try and do it again next week. Maybe a little bit more of, maybe we'll get Sharif and we'll get Nick and we'll get deeper into the volatile organic compounds. We'll go where we go. We'll get Dr. Mark Chaldone in the house and we'll invite some of the other regulars. And thank you all for showing up. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Marcus, appreciate you. It's the road to legends now. So
it is the road to legends. We'll do at least one big Legends of Hash church before Legends as well, so we can kind of update you on everything that Addison and Kevin and the whole crew have been doing. So it's coming along very nicely. I also need to mention before I leave, what is it? North Shore Cannabis presents the Canna Art event. This is September 24th from 12 to 4 p.m. Support local cannabis artists, get your cannabis pressed and THC tested. I guess that is Trim Test. It will be there with his little machine testing cannabis. I'll be there, Future Cannabis Project and Rosebud Farms. I'll be there with Che, and we'll be talking about kind of some of our products at one of the local dispensaries in North Vancouver. So I had to mention that as well. Legends of Hash will be happening December 2nd and 3rd of this year. Yep. And we'll be, come check us out on our Instagram, Legends of Hashish, and you can catch up with all things. Check out the website as well, legendsofhashish.com. And I think just thank you, everyone. Go forth and enjoy cannabis. And I do want to know what percentage of you eat pizza when you leave here. Be honest with me now. Peace out, everybody.
Later, guys.
Peace. Thanks again.